curtain call. Our legacy. It's the final chapter.
And it's written tonight.
Everything we have worked for all season. This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
My college career
Ends here. The last time I lead my team
the last time I lead my troops
into battle.
4 quarters.
60 minutes to leave our mark. I will not let my team lose.
I will not let my team lose. Tonight, we prove ourselves.
A chance to finish on top.
Redemption.
Perfection.
Redemption.
Perfection.
Redemption. Perfection versus redemption. In the All-State Sugar Bowl. And it's right now on Fox.
Welcome to the Built Ford Tough BCS pregame show on Fox. You are looking at New Orleans, where the Gators and Bearcats are ready to put weeks of coaching issues behind and actually play some football. Florida comes in a heavy favorite, but Cincinnati remembers what Utah did to Alabama in this game a year ago. And with a perfect season on the line, the Bearcats are ready to show they belong with the big boys.
Me. Now what you should be telling yourself, who gonna make that big hit? Me. Who gonna make that key block? Me. Who gonna get that pick? Me. Who gonna do this? Me. Now for that, y'all, let's get
It has been a trying week for Urban Meyer. Resigns and comes back all in 24 hours. But will this be his final chomp on the Gators sidelines? It will be one and done for Jeff Quinn at UC. The man who replaces Brian Kelly at the helm tonight will take over at the University of Buffalo tomorrow. But this game is about players after all, and Cincinnati can score with the best of them. Tony Pike and Marty Gilliard have connected for 17 TDs in their career, and the man who's accounted for 141 touchdowns is playing in the final collegiate game of his career. Two-time national champion and 07 Heisman winner Tim Tebow taking it all in one final time. He is ready, and so are we. Unbeaten Cincinnati faces once-beaten Florida in the All-State Sugar Bowl on Fox. Help.
It is a sellout crowd and a boisterous crowd indeed at the Superdome in New Orleans. We welcome you to the 76th annual All-State Sugar Bowl, where the unbeaten University of Cincinnati Bearcats take on the 12-1 and defending national champion Florida Gators. And Happy New Year, everybody. Alongside the coach, Brian Billick and Chris Myers, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to our BCS Bowl Bash on Fox. Generally, Coach, we talk X's and O's at this point in the broadcast, but tonight, I know you feel like with all the storylines with these two teams, tonight is all about emotion in this game.
Tom, I promise you, it is nothing but emotion to start the game right now. Let's start with the University of Florida and, of course, Tim Tebow, one of the most passionate, emotional, and talented players in all of college football, playing his last game. And his coach, Urban Meyer, has led them to 2 national championships. Is this his last game as the head coach of the University of Florida? Across the way, the University of Cincinnati, it's all about respect. This is 2 years in a row they've been in a BCS game. They're 12-0. They believe a win tonight establishes them among the college football elite. And oh, by the way, their head coach, Brian Kelly, he's already left for Notre Dame. So I can't wait for this thing to get started.
Well, we're ready to get it rolling here tonight. What a turnout by these fans from Cincinnati, and they are ready to welcome in the two-time defending Big East champions, the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. Well, for the Bearcats, a storybook season. Their 12 wins. The most ever in school history. And they did it primarily by scoring. Nearly 40 points per game, 6th most in all of college football. Their second straight BCS game a season ago. Losers to Virginia Tech in the FedEx Orange Bowl, and they try to get their first ever BCS win here tonight. Bearcats for the first time all season long donning the white helmets, and we await the rival of college football's defending national champions. The heartbreaking loss in the SEC title game to Alabama. Here come the University of Florida Gators. Is this indeed the final game as head coach for the Gators for Urban Meyer? His team had a 22-game win streak until that SEC championship game, lost overwhelming opponents the entire year in this senior class. The winningest class in SEC history, 47 victories against only 7 defeats and 2 national championships. The coin toss when we come back to the Superdome. You're watching the BCS Bowl Bash on Fox. So Florida has won the toss, deferred to getting the football in the second half, so we'll get a look immediately at this Cincinnati offense, which averages nearly 40 points per game, going toe-to-toe with one of the best defenses in all of college football. Just about set to kick it off from the Superdome moments ago. Chris Myers caught up with Urban Meyer.
Thanks a lot, Tommy. First of all, Urban, Happy New Year to you. And given the drama of the week, what tells you this close to kickoff that your team is ready to go?
Well, I like the way they came out and performed in practice. You know, pre-game's pre-game, but all you can gauge as a coach is how they do a Tuesday and Wednesday practice. And our guys came out, practiced hard. You know, this is the Sugar Bowl, and we're excited to be here and against a great team.
You seem relaxed. How are you handling the possibility that this might be your last game as the coach of Florida?
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about letting our chance. This is a chance to win, I think, our 26th game in the last 2 years, 13 games this year, send these guys out the right way, and we're going to play awful hard.
And it is the last game you'll be coaching Tim Tebow at Florida. Some special thoughts there?
Yeah, I just love Tim, and Tim's been great for college football. He's been great for every young person in the world.
We look forward to the game, as Tom Brennan would say. That is that. The game face of Urban Meyer. All right, Tom, back to you.
Chris, thanks so much. Coach Meyer, thank you very much. Caleb Sturgis set to kick it away, and one of the most dangerous men in all of college football is Marty Gilliard. 4 kickoff returns for touchdowns in his career, including the last 2 games which he played to end the season. A 90-yarder against Illinois, a 99-yarder against the Pitt Panthers. So here we go from the Superdome. And Gilliard comes up to get it from the 7. And he is stopped at the 26-yard line. Senior quarterback Tony Pike. It has been a meteoric rise for this young man in a very short amount of time. He began last season number 4 on the depth chart. And due to injuries, by the 3rd game of the year, he was a starting quarterback. He broke his arm, missed 2 games, came back, and led Cincinnati to its first ever BCS game. He starts his 9th game this year and has thrown 26 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions. Wide open spread offense, a very efficient offense, and that's Marty Gilliard. And he's out to the 32-yard line. That'll be a gain of 5. Here's tonight's Merrill Lynch Wealth Management starting lineup for the Bearcats on offense. Isaiah P., the sophomore running back. Dynamite receiving trio led by Gilliard along with Benz and Woods. And this very underrated offensive line allows less than a sack per game, but a tall order tonight against this Gator D. Blitz coming. They get it away. That's the tight end, Gaduli, and he has a first down out to the 43-yard line. And there's a late penalty flag that comes in. This may be on the Florida Gators. A personal foul that would tack on 15 more.
This is the matchup that fascinates
After the
me,
play,
Tom,
personal foul, number 40 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's Brandon Hicks.
I don't think the University of Florida has quite seen a passing attack like what they're seeing tonight against the University of Cincinnati. But on the flip side, I'm not sure Tony Pike and this Cincinnati offense has seen quite the talent level, particularly in the back end, as they're going to see against this very man-oriented University of Florida defense.
One thing about the Southeastern Conference, historically, so many great quarterbacks and great skill players. This year was not a good year, offensively speaking, especially in the quarterback position in the Southeastern Conference. They give it to Jacob Ramsey. He's off the left side, and a big gain for Ramsey. He's inside the 30. There is a penalty flag down. Ramsey, the seldom used senior, who's been replaced by Isaiah Peed as a primary back for Cincinnati on offense.
Holding on the offense, number 56. Got the 10-yard penalty, first down.
And we've already seen, Tom, some of the emotion beginning to show up on both sides of the ball, with a penalty being called on both sides, both Florida and Cincinnati. Both are going to have to calm down a little bit.
Take a look at our Merrill Lynch Wealth Management starting lineup defensively for the Gators. They have Carlos Dunlap back. He was suspended for the SEC championship game due to a drunk driving charge. And in that secondary, many believe number 5, Joe Hayden, is the best cover corner in all of college football. Well, after the big gain of 12 is erased, a 10-yard penalty makes it 1st and 20 for the Bearcats. Pike rolling left down the field, and it's incomplete, second down.
You know, part of the reason for the University of Cincinnati coming out and running a no huddle or a sugar huddle is to try to calm down the different packages that the University of Florida can throw at them. The hard part is this Florida group is good enough. If you force them into doing nothing but man-to-man, they're pretty good at that. You got to be careful what you ask for here by the case of the Bearcats.
Jeff Quinn, the interim head coach for the Bearcats, after Jeff Quinn was named for one game. He just got the head coaching position at the University of Buffalo after this game tonight. They try and stretch it to the outside, and another penalty flag comes in. We have a Pac-10 officiating crew working the game tonight.
Holding on the offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty, second down. Penalty is declined, third down.
Here you're going to see it on the right side of the screen as we come back. Just up in here. Ends up getting a little bit of a hold. Anytime you extend your hand away from your body like that and you get all jersey, it's going to get called by the officials.
So a couple of penalties have really stalled this opening possession for the Bearcats. 3rd and 22. And Pike rolling, chased by Dunlap. And it is caught, but far short of the first down, and Cincinnati forced a punt on its first possession of the night.
Part of the issue for the Cincinnati Bearcats offensive line, Tom, is the sheer speed and athleticism of the Florida front can lead to a lot of these holding penalties because they can't just latch onto them.
Of course, the Gators are without Brandon James, so Chris Rainey will get the first try at returning the punt, and he's dropped immediately at the 15-yard line by Orion Woodard. So Tim Tebow and company get the football for the first time when we return. Time to take a look at our Ford keys to the game, brought to you by Mr. Brian Billick.
Well, for the University of Cincinnati, you got to get a big play. You're not going to beat University of Florida with 10, 12, 15-play drives, and you got to limit the Florida offense on 1st and 2nd down because Tim Tebow and this group are lethal on 3rd and medium and short. And for Florida, obviously, you've got to be able to make this a very, very physical game against this undersized Cincinnati defense.
Well, Tim Tebow won the Heisman Trophy, of course, his sophomore year. He hands it off to Jeffrey Demps. And Demps out across the 20 is dropped at the 22-yard line. 18 touchdowns against 5 interceptions. After winning that Heisman Trophy, the first ever sophomore to do so, Tebow, a 2-time recipient of the Maxwell Award, owns 4 NCAA, 13 SEC, and 25 school records. One of the great leaders in the history of college football. Aaron Hernandez in motion. They throw it to Riley Cooper, and he has a first down out across the 35, run out of bounds at the 37.
Take a look at tonight's Merrill Lynch Wealth Management starting lineup for the Florida Gators. We'll see in the backfield primarily the duo of Demps and Rainey. We'll see some Emmanuel Moody. They start in a 3 wide-out group of Thompson, Cooper, and David Nelson. Keep an eye all night long on Aaron Hernandez. And by the way, Marquise Pouncey, the center, spent 5 hours in a local hospital last night suffering from kidney stones. But they felt like he was okay and ready to play, and he's in there at center tonight. Tebow one way. Tries to bring it back the other way. A great tackle made by Alex Daniels, the senior out of Columbus. And now the Cincinnati defense, brought to you by Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. They play the 3-4. Third in the nation in tackles for loss. They're led by Andre Revels, a senior out of Cincinnati's Coleraine High School. We'll talk about him throughout the night. Aaron Webster is the only returning starter from last year's Orange Bowl team. Shovel pass to Hernandez, and you can't play it any better than that. Although, are they going to get a face mask on John Hughes or a horse collar tackle?
Yeah, it looks like he got his hand in there. I couldn't tell if it was the face mask or in behind the pad. We're going to see here as he pitches the ball.
No foul.
Just catches the helmet on the end. Clearly grabbed the face mask for a personal foul going forward.
Nope, they said no penalty.
Wow. Wow, boy, what we just saw, that incidental pull of the face mask, I think they got away with one there.
3rd and 7. Hernandez very close to a first down. It looks like he has it up to the 47-yard line. Dropped there by J.K. Schaefer.
And that's the down and distance I was alluding to earlier, that the University of Cincinnati has to keep Florida in that longer third down distance of 7+. You get into a 3rd and short, 3rd medium, Tim Tebow is absolutely lethal. He will carve you up. University of Cincinnati's got to continue to keep him in a longer 3rd down.
Tebow to throw it on first down to Emmanuel Moody, who checks in for the first time. And the former USC Trojan, who transferred 2 years ago, has been hurt most of this year, gets inside the 45-yard line. Well, of course, Tebow, over his 4-year career, the numbers are simply staggering. Closing in on 12,000 yards of total offense, the most in SEC history. The 141 total combined touchdowns. That's the 4th most ever in the history of football. And the most rushing touchdowns, surpassing Herschel Walker among all SEC players. Second and 2. Catches made by Deontay Thompson, and that's another Florida first down to the 35.
And this is what makes Florida so lethal, Tom, is the running game, the multiple option game that they have with Tim Tebow forces you to isolate on the interior of their offensive package that leaves so many one-on-one matchups on the outside, gives Tim Tebow all the license he wants to go to those good, big, physical receivers he has on the outside.
They hand it to Demps on first down. And a good strong run for the diminutive Demps. He's inside the 30, down to the 29-yard line, wrapped up by Aaron Webster.
And this is as simple as a screwdriver, just shoving it right down the middle of the Cincinnati defense. You can see they're in a normal 3-3 alignment. But look at the size. This is the advantage for, obviously, the University of Florida. Huge offensive line, 6'5" or better, with a bit of an undersized defensive front 4 of Cincinnati.
Ninth play of this opening drive for Tebow and the Gators, and he is dropped back of the 35-yard line, and there's some extra pushing and shoving going on. Alex Daniels, the first Bearcat there.
Nice job of the Cincinnati secondary. Watch how this pocket collapses around Tim Tebow. He's got no place to go. A straight read down the field. This is not Tim Tebow's game. If the initial 1-2 read's not there, he's got to pull it back down, and the pocket collapsed around him. Nice pressure by Cincinnati.
Daniels leads Cincinnati in sacks, and on this 3rd down and 9, he goes to the Bearcats sideline, shaken up. Tebow across the middle to Thompson, and that's another 1st down to the 21.
Nice job by Tebow here. You're going to see that had to wait out the receiver coming in from this left side. He's waiting for this window in here to open, having just been sacked, waits it out, and then delivers the ball right to where it needs to go on a long 3rd down conversion.
Tebow 6 for his first 6 for 54 yards. That's a penalty. It looked like against Dents. There was a whistle we thought we heard, but Tebow carries inside the 5-yard line. That was a very odd situation there. I don't see a penalty flag anywhere, but I thought we heard a whistle on the Bearcat sideline, thinking the same thing.
And the Bearcat coaches are pleading the same thing. They heard the same whistle. Unless it came from somewhere in the field, that was the play. The Bearcat player, Cincinnati, definitely stopped. They thought the play was dead. Clearly a whistle. I don't know where it came from. Evidently, it didn't come from the field.
1st and goal now for the Gators. And they give it to Demps. And he's dropped for a loss. Daniels back in the game for the Bearcats, along with Rebels and Schaefer on the stop, and Demps is down injured. Well, you can tell Demps is in a great deal of pain.
Here you can see right here, Demps, as he's going down.
That's a left arm.
All of a sudden, he just landed kind of odd on that left side. And then the player came in over the top. It looked like maybe he got his arm caught in between his body and the turf there as he went down.
But take a look again when he puts his left hand down on the ground. We're going to get back to that when we come back.
The All-State Sugar Bowl on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light. With the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light, the difference is drinkability.
Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Bud Light on a beautiful night in the Big Easy. That was not anything you want to watch very many times. What just happened to the left arm, the left elbow of Jeff Demps. Second down and goal for the Gators. Tebow with all day, rolling left, finds Hernandez, and he is into the end zone. Touchdown.
The last thing you want to do is let Tim Tebow get outside the pocket. His go-to guy Hernandez here on the run. Big target that once he gets his hands on it was going to power his way into the end zone. Nice job by Hernandez in the open field. Gets his body and the ball just across the end zone for the Florida score.
A 13-play drive spanning 84 yards, capped off by the touchdown to Hernandez.
It was interesting to me in visiting with Urban Meyer that equated Hernandez to, this is my go-to guy. This is my Percy Harvin. Now, no one would look at Hernandez and say, what do you mean Percy Harvin? But in the times that they go to him, the critical times of third down, Hernandez here is the key. This is the injury right here, and you hate to see it. Hopefully it's just a hyperextended elbow as he hit it wrong. Hopefully nothing more serious than that and just a tweak of that elbow.
And they're still looking at Demps over on the Florida sideline. In fact, they already have him in a sling over by the Florida bench. Caleb Sturgis comes on for the point after. And it's blocked. Walter Stewart got a paw on it. Could that be a big point later tonight? What an impressive drive for Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators. 13 plays, 84 yards. Tebow 7 of 7. Rushed for 16 yards and capped it off with a 7-yard score to Aaron Hernandez. So again, we keep an eye on Marty Gilliard. And for a second time, he will bring it back, this time from the 5. And Gilliard into the open field. And out across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Let's check in downstairs with Chris Myers.
Top sophomore Jeff Demps was taken by his own power. He got into a golf cart. They put a sling on that left forearm, and they actually wrapped it and iced it down. They got him on a golf cart. They're looking at x-rays now. They believe the early indication is it's a forearm fracture. He is unlikely to return. He appeared to be dealing with the pain okay, but it will be determined on the x-rays whether he will return or not. But it does not look good early.
What a shame. Jeff Demps, the electrifying sophomore out of Winter Garden, Florida. And Cincinnati with the football for the second time. The quick slant to Gilliard. And he's across midfield to the 46-yard line. Remember now, when Cincinnati had the ball the first time, they picked up huge yardage on 3 plays, but after a 12-yard run, a holding call put them back. Another penalty made it 1st and 20. The drive stalled shortly thereafter.
Yeah, a single penalty of that nature can typically kill a drive. To overcome 2, just the odds are against it. They got great field position here to capitalize on.
Isaiah Peed gives it back to Pike. He's looking down the field to Gaduli. Tip ball. Great coverage by Joe Hayden.
And it's really unfortunate. He had Armen Benz on the other side of the field. Little trickeration here. You got to know, trying to go outside against the speed of this Florida defense, you're not going to see a lot of this. So you got to kind of know something's up. And obviously he's got his vision down the field. Couldn't quite lead him enough to execute the big play. Really unfortunate because Benz was all by himself on the other side of the field.
Pike out of the shotgun on a 3rd and 2, and he is dropped for a loss. So after getting great field position following the 40-yard return by Gilliard, would Cincinnati dare contemplate going on 4th down? Remember, Jeff Quinn is the interim head coach, replacing Brian Kelly, who departed Cincinnati going to Notre Dame after a perfect regular season.
Well, obviously, as they've got the punt team on the field, this is the thing to do. It's way too early in the game to jeopardize putting this potent Florida offense on a short field. You want to opt here, see if we can get them pinned down, hopefully inside the 10-yard line, to see if they can go the distance again.
Jake Rogers, both the punter and the field goal kicker for the Bearcats. Rainey from the 10 breaks a couple of tackles and brings it out to the 19-yard line. And 4:48 to play in the opening quarter from New Orleans. And the Gators with a 6-0 lead.
It's a battle of the undefeateds as high-powered Boise State squares off against 4th-ranked TCU. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Monday only on Fox.
The All-State Sugar Bowl is sponsored by Allstate, proud sponsor of college football and the All-State Sugar Bowl. Are you in good hands? By Ford. Visit bcstailgate.com for your chance to win BCS tickets and an F-150. And by FedEx. We understand you need reliable shipping options. FedEx.
Well, if Tim Tebow is your guy, You can follow him the entire game. Log on to foxsports.com for our exclusive Tebow cam. We have a camera tonight dedicated to showing the Florida quarterback in this his final collegiate game. Tebow cam exclusively at foxsports.com. Tebow 34-6 since taking over the reins as the Gators starting quarterback. And replacing the injured Jeff Demps is Chris Rainey, the redshirt sophomore out of Lakeland, Florida, who rushed for 548 yards on the regular season.
They prefer to use Rainey out of the slot, but obviously with the injury to Demps, he looks to be the lead guy now. He's got that kind of speed. You can get him to the outside of the perimeter of Cincinnati's defense. He can do some big damage with some big plays.
The speed of both Demps and Rainey is truly staggering. Rainey placed third in the 4x100-meter relay at the NCAA Track and Field Championships a year ago. But dropped back to the 31-yard line is Emmanuel Moody. And the man who blocked the point after a moment ago, Walter Stewart, a redshirt freshman, there to make the stop.
This nice penetration in this play by Cincinnati. Simply coming in through the gaps here. The defensive line, they've got a good solid wall here. Shucks off the pulling guard's block. Nice job by the end, wrapping up the Florida running back.
2nd and 12. Tebow to throw it down the middle of the field. Wide open is David Nelson, and that's a first down to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, what I want you to watch here, classic Florida offense with all the running that they do. I want you to watch how all this defense gets sucked up with the play fake that now gives a clean read right over the top of the linebackers, the nickel man, down the field. This is exactly what this Florida offense is built for.
30-yard pass completion, Tebow to Nelson. Tebow 8 for 8, 91 yards and a touchdown already. And he's going to throw it again. Wide open again is Aaron Hernandez. Still on his feet, inside the 15, down to the 10, and penalty flags litter the field. Many wondered, could this Cincinnati defense hold up against this Florida Gator team?
During the run, illegal block in the back, number 3 on the offense. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
A penalty against Chris Rainey.
Well, we talked about the way they use Hernandez in the slot here. And now he just comes in. It's got to be a broken coverage. They rolled off and took the deeper man. Stewart following back into coverage. But Hernandez, the #1 go-to guy for Tim Tebow, got in behind that secondary. And as I said earlier, he's kind of the Percy Harvin mode. He fills into that even though he's a big tight end.
Now we kind of raised our eyebrows when Urban Meyer said that the other day in our meeting. He is our version of Percy Harvin. Harvin, of course, having a great rookie season with Minnesota in the NFL. Knowing where to run for Emmanuel Moody. Dropped for a 3-yard loss by Stewart and Dan Giordano. A couple of redshirt freshmen for the Bearcats. Well, our great overhead shots tonight. Boy, what a great camera that is. Brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
I could get used to this TV cam, guys. This is a great view of this game.
Tebow looking around, great protection. Flag comes in, still being chased, and finally thrown to the mat by Alex Daniels. He's been extremely active early on tonight.
This goes against the Florida offense. It's very disappointing to get a holding call when you really only had a 3-man rush. You got to figure your 5 guys can keep the 3 out without holding them.
And you got to believe Cincinnati would decline this penalty.
Illegal hands to the face, number 57 on the offense.
And that's what it was. And that's one of those things where the hands start on the pad, works their way up.
That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
We're going to see here on the left guard right here. Watch as he starts down, he goes to help. Excuse me, it's the left tackle that I think that got his hands on it rather than the guard. that worked his hands up into the face mask of the defender, and that's what the official's going to see. Nice play by Cincinnati, able to turn down the foul, maintain the down, and still get the loss.
Becomes, even though it's early, a very important defensive play for the Bearcats.
Got to keep him in this 3rd and extremely long. They got to stop him on a 3rd and 15. They so far haven't on a 3rd and 7 and a 3rd and 9.
Tebow steps, throws, catch made, but short of the first down. Riley Cooper at the 23-yard line came back to get it. And out comes the field goal unit for the Gators.
The size of these Florida receivers, Riley Cooper, David Nelson, forget the offensive line. They're all 6'5" or better. But David Nelson, 6'5", Riley Cooper, 6'3". This is as big and as impressive an offensive unit physically as I think I've seen in college football.
40-yard field goal try for Caleb Sturgis, who hit on 21 of 28 on the year. And it sneaks inside the left upright, and it is good. 2 possessions, a touchdown, and a field goal. Gators lead 9-0. Here's tonight Reese's perfect profile on the 12-0 Cincinnati Bearcats. They were picked 3rd preseason in the Big East and then went to New Jersey and just blasted Rutgers. 2 weeks later, beat Oregon State on the road. A week after that, beat a good Fresno team at home. 2 weeks later, won at South Florida, and then closed out the year with wins over ranked teams Connecticut, West Virginia, routed Illinois, and then that 45-44 thriller in the final seconds at Pitt to cap off the unbeaten season. Gilliard for a 3rd time. He brought it back 40 yards the last one. And he is hammered to the deck at the 23-yard line by Janoris Jenkins. Well, you turn back the clock to that Oregon State game, and that was the one that opened a lot of eyes around the country going on the road and doubting Oregon State. South Florida game, Tony Pike broke his arm. In came Zach Collaros, who had 555 yards of offense in that shootout win over Connecticut. And then the thriller in the snow at Heinz Field. Cincinnati trailed 31-10. The touchdown pass in the final 33 seconds to Armand Benz won it. Pike on first down finds Ben Gaduli. But he maybe picked up a yard, dropped by Dustin Doe.
This Florida defense, Charlie Strong, the defensive coordinator, is all about pressure and man coverage. And we're going to see a lot of pressure from his front for no other reason than to get the ball out of Tony Pike's hands quickly, because he thinks he has the back end, the secondary, to keep up with these Cincinnati receivers.
They give it to Ramsey, and coming up to make the tackle for a 1-yard loss, the middle linebacker playing in his final game, Brandon Spikes. Of course, the story's been told many times. Spikes and Tim Tebow, heavily recruited by rival Alabama. The two were together on their visit. And Brandon Spikes was asked, "Where are you going?" He looked at Tebow. He said, "Wherever he's going."
That's good evaluation on Spike's part.
3rd down, and Pike is sacked all the way back to the 15-yard line by Justin Tratto. So 3 and out this time for the Bearcats offense on the final play of the opening quarter. 9-0, Gators lead it. The All-State Sugar Bowl on Fox will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Jeff Demps has made it back out of the Florida locker room. You see wearing the sling still on that left arm that Chris Myers reported on has a fracture in it. For more on that story, let's check in with Chris once more.
Yeah, and Tom, they did look at the x-rays and found out it's a dislocated elbow. So he's out for the remainder of the game. No torn ligaments. They had to snap it back into place, and he is out for the remainder of the game.
Well, what a punt by Jake Rogers out of his own end zone all the way to the 35-yard line. A 59-yard punt. There is a penalty flag back on the far side of the field. It's be offsides against the Florida Gators.
Well, this was a heck of a punt. They run a running punt that basically displaces the punter out of the body of the protection, and that will stretch a defense sometimes trying to get to that edge.
Defense offside, number 7. That penalty's declined.
A great punt. Obviously could have been great field position for Florida. Now at least backs them up to their 35-yard line.
Well, the Bowl Bash continues tomorrow on Fox with the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic from Cowboy Stadium. And then on Monday, it's a Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Boise State and TCU on Tuesday, the FedEx Orange Bowl. The Bowl Bash continues tomorrow, 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, only on Fox. The Iowa Hawkeyes will take on the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck. What a great year they've had. And first down, it's Rainey. And he's up to the 39-yard line, a gain of 3.
Well, initially they put Rainey in the backfield to account for the injury to Demps, but now they're running Moody in there a little bit more. I think they want to maintain Rainey on the outside, motioning in from the slot where he's most effective.
Rainey filling in for Jeff Demps. A dislocated elbow, and as Chris Myers reported, he will not return. Nice catch by Moody, and then escapes a couple of would-be tacklers and has the first down up to the 48-yard line. He ran right by Brad Jones.
This is a nice throw by Tim Tebow. This is one of the throws that people question on his ability. You're going to watch Moody come into motion. When you throw a little swing pass like this actually needs to be one of the most accurate passes you have. You want him to catch it going downhill. Moody didn't have to break stride or change a step a bit. Gave him a running downhill start at the catch.
Tebow out of the shotgun. Throws. Catch is made by Thompson. A perfect 12 for 12 in this game is Tim Tebow. In this his final game as a Florida Gator. Much has been made about Tebow and the next level. Can he play quarterback in the NFL? Brian Billick, you were one of the great offensive coordinators in the history of the NFL with Minnesota. Won a Super Bowl as a head coach with the Baltimore Ravens. We'll talk more about it later, but your impressions initially of Tebow?
Well, I tell you what, you want to bet against this guy, but there are some legitimate questions that have to be looked at with regards to his abilities at the next level.
They give it to Moody, and he's up the gut inside the 35 to the 33-yard line. It'll bring up second down and a yard.
And this is the heart of the option that they run. Watch the mesh point between Tebow now and Moody. How long and deep he rides him in. Boy, that really stretches a defense, because when you can't know until that late which of these two really good athletes is going to have the ball, that really stretches the defense in a way that makes it almost impossible to defend.
Hernandez in motion, Tebow to throw it. First incomplete pass of the night for Tebow. He took a hit as he turned that football loose from Drew Fry, the redshirt freshman strong safety.
And they just get a free rusher from the outside. You're going to see this coming off this side. Guy unaccounted for on the outside on both sides that forced Tim Tebow to get the ball up a lot earlier than he wanted to throw the ball.
Third and a yard.
They're working a tackle overset here. They've moved the big beef part of their line right over into here on a short yardage.
And let Tebow keep it. I don't know. This is very, very close. If he didn't get it at this point of the field, you got to believe the Gators would go for it.
Yeah, it shows you how much I know. I'm telling you they're lethal on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. They convert on 3rd and 15, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7, and don't convert on the 3rd and 1. Yeah, why not? Why not? You got Tim Tebow, this athletic Florida group. You got the lead in your back pocket.
4th down and less than a yard. And Tebow out of the shotgun. They'll run it. And he got it.
Now this is confidence now in your group to start on a 3rd and 1 in the gun alignment and just get in behind all that beef. Like I said, you got tackles over here. You got an extra big body in here. And now you're counting on that big physical offensive line of the Florida Gators to win that matchup against the undersized Cincinnati defense.
Tebow to throw on 1st down and still on his feet. Looked like he'd be dropped for a loss. He turns it into a 4-yard gain. Take a look at our Ram game summary. Florida out to a 9-0 lead. We certainly expected more offense than this, especially from the Bearcats.
Yeah, and as we said, they really do need the big play because it's going to be very hard for Cincinnati to get an organized, synchronized drive of 10, 12 plays. They're going to need those big plays against this talented Florida defense.
9th play of this drive. It was a gain of 6 by Tebow, 2nd and 4. Moody blasted as he took the handoff from Andre Rebels. Undersized senior middle linebacker out of Cincinnati's powerhouse Coleraine High School.
And this is the only way you're going to defend this. You've got to slice through there, make them pay early. Don't give Tim Tebow the time to ride this thing in too deeply and blow it up right from the get-go. That makes it a much more difficult read for Tim Tebow. And once, if they can indeed stop that, then you're going to minimize the damage of those long play fakes and the throws down the field.
That is Carl Johnson, a left guard, who's the injured Gator. We'll be back. Carl Johnson able to walk off the field. They're taking a look at that right shoulder. He's replaced in left guard by number 74, Maurice Hurt. On a 3rd down and 5 for the Gators at the Cincinnati 26-yard line. Tebow, quick throw. Hernandez a catch. Inside the 10, spun down at the 8-yard line. The junior tight end, the first-team All-American out of Bristol, Connecticut.
Well, as we said earlier, we've seen it all year long, and we've seen it already in this game. Obviously, Tebow, when he needs something in a critical situation, he's going to look for the big target of Hernandez. Very nifty down the field as a tight end. Obviously, 6'2", needs to get better as an inline blocker, but obviously as a talented receiver, has the potential to do well at the next level.
1st and goal for the Gators. Emmanuel Moody met at the line of scrimmage by Walter Stewart, the first Bearcat there.
Florida actually has had some difficulties in the red zone, Tom. You wouldn't think with this option-oriented football that's just made for the confined spaces inside the red zone. Probably one area that Urban Meyer wishes they'd have been a little bit better this year in terms of converting touchdowns in the red zone.
Empty backfield on 2nd and goal, and Tebow just throws it up in the corner of the end zone. Deontay Thompson, a touchdown.
Unbelievable throw and catch. Under duress, Tim Tebow, unbelievable body control. Gets his hands on the ball. Obviously only has to get the 1 foot down, control all the way to the ground. Had guys all over him, had to rely on his receiver. This is a big league catch right there.
Thompson, the talented redshirt sophomore out of Belle Glade, Florida. Only caught 19 balls during the season. Big things in store for him in future years, and the point after is good. So now with 9:07 to play until halftime, the Gators extend their lead 16-0. I'd like to remind you, coming up on the Reese's BCS halftime show, Chris, Jimmy, and Eddie will have the scores and highlights from a big day in college football. We'll have both bands performing on the field. All coming up on the Reese's BCS halftime show, and I'm sure Eddie George will be talking about his Ohio State Buckeyes getting a win today, and that defense completely shutting down the Oregon Ducks. Not many teams, Coach, could say that this year.
That's not an easy task, shutting down that group.
Darren Williams, rather than Marty Gilliard, brings it out to the 28-yard line. Well, of course, college football on the BCS Bowl Bash. The NFL wraps up the final weekend of the regular season the day after tomorrow. Our 1 o'clock Eastern time games, some big ones, still playoff implications. All over the National Football League, the Eagles and the Cowboys play for the NFC East title. Coverage begins with a built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Tony Pike's just got to find something to give his offense just a little bit of rhythm here.
Pike on first down, and he is sacked. Very reminiscent of what we saw against Virginia Tech last year. This is such a short drop, get the ball away quickly sort of offense, and when guys aren't open, things begin to break down.
Well, when you have to hold the ball, as you see here with Pike, he didn't like what he saw. Again, this is an undersized Cincinnati offensive line, a very athletic group with the Florida group, or the Florida bunch. Pike's going to have to get the ball out of his hands very quickly, because holding on to it doesn't hold much of the future.
Pike down the middle of the field and jarred loose. Trying to make the reception, Kazim Ali. A big hit from Ahmad Black.
The thing about this Florida secondary, here you can see as a long looping pass down the field. This entire secondary, Joe Hayden is the one that gets all the attention, and a lot of people thought, okay, they'll come in and they'll just match Hayden up one-on-one with Gilliard. They could put any of these secondary. They're very comfortable.
Face on the offense, number 71. That penalty's declined. Third down.
We had a late flag come in against the left tackle, Jeff Linkenbach. But the Gators will decline the penalty. 3rd and 18.
But they don't need to play matchup coverage to finish the thought that I was talking about. They could put any one of these secondary guys on Gilliard, allowing Hayden to come off of that corner where he's his best.
Again, 3rd and forever for this Cincinnati offense. Gators only rush 3. Pike down the field for Benz. Nearly brought it in. Into double coverage. It was a beautifully thrown ball by Pike, but jarred loose by the duo of Hayden and Major Wright.
Both these last 2 throws were pinpoint accuracy by Pike. The receiver just not having the strength to bring the ball into the body late into the play. Beautifully thrown balls by Pike.
Punt away by Jake Rogers. And another good one by the Cincinnati punter. Spotted out of bounds at the 34-yard line. All Gators so far tonight in the Big Easy. Great start tonight for Tebow and the Gators, and Tim Tebow, one of the finalists for this year's AT&T All-America Player of the Year. To vote for Tebow or any of the others, text VOTE to 345-345 on your AT&T wireless phone, or go to foxallamerica.com for more information. You can win a trip or 2 to next year's national title game. Find out the AT&T All-America Player of the Year winner during the BCS National Championship game a week from today. Tebow on first down. Another completion. This one to Rainey. And a horse collar tackle from behind by Rebels will tack on 15 more.
with the kind of speed that this Florida team has, you kind of grab for anything you can as they go blowing by you. Tough position for Cincinnati
Personal
to be in.
foul, horse collar tackle, number 50 on the defense. 15-yard, first down.
You can see here when with such speed now, all of a sudden you think you're in position and they just blow by you. You just reach up and grab anything you can. Obviously, again, sometimes it frustrates people that gets called, but it's such an injury issue for the players.
I can understand the frustration, I think, with Rebels there. He just grabbed the back of the jersey. On first down, Tebow pump fake, throws. Hernandez again. Inside the 10, first and goal Gators. What a night for Tebow and Hernandez.
The entire design of this offense is to get the defense to react to one thing, and then the Florida offense do another, whether it's a play fake on the run by Tebow or the option, then to step back out and throw in behind. He faked a little flat pass there. Hernandez was on the outside. Defense reacted in. He pulled it back down, was able to get the throw in behind it.
Moody on first down, cuts it back to the inside and into the end zone for Emmanuel Moody.
Just a stretch and cut play. Nice job of stretching the perimeter defense. Xavier Nixon outside allows him to get around the edge, then put your foot in the dirt, in the grass, turn it right up.
Point after is good, and with 7:05 to play until halftime, Cincinnati needs an answer. No answers so far for the Florida Gators.
The Allstate Sugar Bowl on Fox is sponsored by the all-new Ram Heavy Duty, Motor Trend's 2010 Truck of the Year, by Taco Bell, think outside the bun, and by Merrill Lynch Wealth Management.
Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Of course, a big night here in New Orleans last night on New Year's Eve. It was a lot of places, maybe a little more so here.
Yeah, I've never been to New Orleans on New Year's Eve, and I'm 56 years old, and there were some eye-opening things here even for me. It was great fun, though. They took great care of us down here. Really appreciate the hospitality of the Sugar Bowl committee.
Now, you were the bead man last night.
I was the bead king of Bourbon Street.
Thomas Marshall and company getting us all set up to enjoy the sights and sounds of Bourbon Street last night for a little while. Well, now Tony Pike and company with under 7 minutes to go, trying to get on the board before the half. Our overhead shots brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
And the dilemma for Cincinnati now, Florida has scored more points in the second quarter, 175, than their opponents have scored in totality all year long. This is an uphill battle for Cincinnati right now.
Peed in motion, and they'll give it to him. And Isaiah Peed out of Columbus Eastmore High School, if that sounds familiar. Pete is the all-time leading rusher in that high school's history, and he broke the records held by a fellow named Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner in the history of college football. Gilliard, a first down reception up to the 40-yard line. For more on Marty Gilliard, here is Chris Myers.
Well, Tom, that's what the Cincinnati sideline wants more of. And Marty himself, before the game, and he's one of the few guys on the Cincinnati team not from Ohio, a Florida native, said, we're the undefeated team. We're being treated like a Division II team. And moments ago, he was trying to encourage Tony Pike on the sideline, said, you know, I stepped up when Brian Kelly resigned. We need to step up now.
That's an Aaron Hernandez-like play for the Cincinnati tight end, Ben Gaduli, and he's up to the 44-yard line. Now, Gilliard is a young man who grew up in Florida, Bunnell, Florida. Went to Flagler Palm Coast High School. His story is one of the most amazing stories, a journey to get to this night that you will ever read anywhere at any time. Going back to his poverty upbringing, living in a government subsidized one-bedroom apartment with his mother and his older brother while his mom was working 17-hour days. His brother took care of him. They didn't have lunch meat in the house very often. They didn't have milk very often. They didn't have peanut butter. He said, one of the reasons I'm so thin is because we used to dip bread in syrup and pour water on our cereal in the morning. But his mother, with lots of love and lots of faith, the help of his older brother, who's now a deputy sheriff in the same hometown, watch little brother excel all year long and here tonight. Flag comes down and looking for Gilliard, and it's batted away. Flag down on the far side of the field.
Offsides, defense number 41, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And the injured Gator is Janoris Jenkins.
Yeah, when they went up for the ball, Gilliard did a nice job of converting into becoming of a DB now, but they all kind of came down in a pile here, and hopefully he just got the wind knocked out of him. See here at the top, Gilliard knows I'm outnumbered here. I'm just going to jump up and knock this thing down, and then it's just a mass of bodies and some friendly fire there coming in from the outside, ran into right. Like I said, hopefully it's just a just getting the wind knocked out of him.
Janoris Jenkins able to trot off the field. A 1st and 5 for the Bearcats at the Florida 45-yard line. They give it to Isaiah Peed. And he runs his way hard, running by Peed to the 40-yard line. A big collision with Brandon Hicks. And then some extracurricular business down there, and they may have gotten Peed. But when you're down 23-0, you cannot have that.
Nah, and he's still jawing on a little bit. This is, you know, Cincinnati's finally got a little rhythm going. They've hit him with a shuffle pass. They've gotten a couple throws. They've gotten to the outside. And now to be backed up on what looks like could be a personal foul against Peed. Boy, it's an uphill climbing, particularly down 23-0 to a team like Florida.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on number 25 on the offense. That's a 15-yard penalty. It will be second down.
I think they meant to say 23.
Yeah, that was. And you just, you know the frustration, and you know why. But right here, you just got to keep your cool. And I don't know. I guess the officials have to call that. This guy's jawing at one another. I didn't see a shove or a push. And I'm not sure that one doesn't. Hey, son, here's a warning. Let's don't see it again and let him go.
Here you get a look at Steve Adazio. Of course, he is the head coach in waiting when Urban Meyer takes his leave of absence, indefinite leave of absence following the game tonight. Adazio will pretty much run this entire Gator program for the unforeseeable future. Read beautifully by Major Wright, and he drops Gilliard at the 45-yard line.
That's a well-conceived defense by Charlie Strong of Florida. What they bring Hayden, who is their boundary blitzer right here. Hayden comes from the outside, but it's almost a trap. If you can get the ball out over the top of that blitz, all of a sudden now the secondary's waiting for it. I think Cincinnati got baited into that one, seeing Hayden come off the edge. Nice, well-designed defense by the Florida Gators.
Cincinnati has not converted a third down the entire game. This one 3rd and a ton, and Pike being chased, gets it away. Catch is made by Ramsey, and still on his feet, and that's going to be against Florida. That one far worse than the one a moment ago they got Isaiah Pete for, and I think Brandon Hicks might have his second personal foul of the game.
But this one's interesting because it looked like he was down. You're going to see him get out around the edge here. It looks like he's going down, but he doesn't actually go to the ground. He's over the top of the defender.
After the play,
still going
personal
now.
Foul, unnecessary roughness.
And kind of caught him off guard. Now that's just a late hit. I thought maybe he came into it late. That's just a late shot. Officials got to get this under control right now because the John's getting pretty good.
Ryan Stamper is the injured Florida Gator, fifth-year senior out of Jacksonville. Charlie Strong told us the other day they're guys that get a lot more pub and might be better NFL players than Ryan Stamper ever will, but he said he is without a doubt our most dependable player on defense. A model of consistency every day he's been a Gator.
And it's a joy to have a guy like that because he's the guy that when things get tough, it gets hot. Everybody else on that defense looks to. And when you as a coach, you're not on the field, you can't cross that white line on the sideline. To have that stability on the field is a huge asset.
And a reminder tomorrow, our Bowl Bash continues, the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic. The Oklahoma State Cowboys will take on the Ole Miss Rebels. Our coverage begins at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, in high definition only on Fox.
Cincinnati's got it, stab it in here now. They've had a nice mix of inside-outside shuffle passes, throws to the inside and outside. This is as critical a series as Cincinnati's had all night.
Maybe all year.
Yeah.
Play fake one way. Pike looking around and just throws it away. Well, Gilliard appeared to be wide open down the far sideline.
But Pike had rolled to the right after the play fake. Always difficult for a quarterback when you get isolated to one half of the field to be able to see and come back all the way across. Again, the secondary of Florida is playing very, very well. The athleticism, their ability to run with the Cincinnati receivers making it very tough for a clean look from Pike. Everybody up and showing pressure. We'll see if they bring them or they're okey-doking Pike and dropping out.
They're bringing him. Pass incomplete. He had an eye on Armand Ben.
Quinn's going deep into the playbook now. He knows he's got to stay as broad-based as he can get. You can't rely on just one thing with the athleticism of this Florida defense. You got to get him outside the pocket. You got to mix in the runs. You got to get as many one-on-one matchups as you can get. Gilliard's your go-to guy here.
Play clock under 10. They roll Pike down the field. Incomplete. He had an eye on Gaduli. Well, it's fourth down. This would be about a 46-yard field goal try for Jake Rogers. And he'll come out.
And that's the dilemma for Cincinnati. You roll Pike out to get away from the pressure, but you cut the field in half doing it against a very athletic secondary of Florida. So tough dilemma to be in.
Kick is good by Rogers, officially from 47 yards out. So this Bearcat offense, which averages, well, if you round it off, 40 points per game, on the board for the first time tonight, trailing 23-3. Well, so much has been made. You go back a week ago tomorrow when Urban Meyer made the decision, shocking the sports world, that he was stepping down as the Gators head coach. 20 hours later, after an inspired practice, he changes his mind. And that story has not ended ever since.
Well, I can certainly empathize. First off, Urban Meyer doesn't owe you, me, the media, or the fans any kind of explanation about his personal life, whether it's his health, his children, his family. But unfortunately, you do owe an explanation to your players. to the organization, in this case the University of Florida, that's been invested in you, and therefore that means it becomes public. So I can certainly understand the frustration of Urban Meyer. He doesn't want to talk about it, but the dictates of this job, unfortunately, as it will play out, are going to be very much done on the public stage.
Of course, the story well documented, the early hours after the loss to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Upon arriving home, a 911 call made by Meyer's wife. He felt chest pain. He's certainly concerned about his heart and the health of his heart. Florida will get the ball at the 20. Fox Sports asks you to join Malaria No More in protecting the children in Africa. For only $10, you can donate life-saving mosquito net and help stop malaria. Please text the word NET to 85944, and a one-time $10 donation will be added to your phone bill. Messaging and data rates may apply. Certainly something we take very much for granted among many things in this country of ours. So now 3:11 to go. Tebow with a 23-3 lead. Aaron and out looking for more, and wide open is Riley Cooper to the end zone.
Well, Riley Cooper just blows by Dominique Battle. There again with no help over the top. All eyes are now inside because the play fake. Safety not in position. He has his eyes on the quarterback and on the run action of Florida. Riley Cooper has got legitimate open-ended speed. One-on-one battle with Dominique Battle. Obviously Riley Cooper. Big explosive play. Really uncharacteristic for this Florida offense. They're not a big play offense per se.
Of course, Tebow and Riley Cooper roommates the last couple of years. 30-3 Gators. Goodness gracious. Of course, Urban Meyer playing against his alma mater here tonight. A graduate from the University of Cincinnati in 1986. Got his graduate degree at Ohio State in '88. But, you know, Brian, you coached at the collegiate level, not as a head coach, but as an assistant, and then worked your way up in the NFL, becoming a head coach. I'm sure you can relate to the pressure that Urban Meyer and so many others must feel day in and day out in this job. Pressure as it applies in context, of course.
Sure, and it's not just the pressure on the field and the wins and losses. It's the pressure, and Urban Meyer is very much into the growth of this young football team, of his players. And you get drawn into the pressures, as any of us that are parents know, into dealing with the ups and downs and the emotional state of these young athletes.
Hilliard tackled at the 22-yard line. 80-yard touchdown catch for Riley Cooper, the second longest pass play in Sugar Bowl history.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, you know, this Florida offense is not necessarily a big play offense, where last year they were when they had guys like Murphy and Percy Harvin. Where, to put it in basketball parlances, they were fast break last year. They're a half-court game this year. And when you saw it, we've seen long extended drives. That kind of big play really is uncharacteristic for them this year.
So now Pike on first down from his own 24. Will give it to Ramsey. And he is dropped by Brandon Spikes. You know, there are those, the whispers around the Florida program that, you know, the Carlos Dunlap situation is one, I'm not going to say that put Urban Meyer sort of over the top, but that was a serious blow to all the things he's been trying to do for this Gator program. And I don't mean to single out Dunlap, but we've heard that story repeated over and over from a number of people who should be in the know and are in the know. And when Meyer took over for Ron Zook, he came in and cleaned out, I'm not going to them malcontents, but certainly a lot of players around this program that he did not want around and try to get this thing going in the right direction.
There you see a blitz by Hayden off the edge again. Same thing. Blitz, but then covered quickly on the backside by Wright. Yeah, you know, and what I'm referring to, obviously, is Urban Meyer. Again, it's not just the pressures on the field, but you have the lives of these young people in your hands as well, and that can take an emotional toll as well.
Third down, and Pike sacked by the aforementioned Mr. Dunlap, who is some kind of player.
Well, and you're going to see Dunlap. This is one impressive athlete coming off this weak side here. His quickness, look at, he spins right here. All of a sudden, the offensive lineman couldn't even get his hands up. The quickness, the athleticism, the long arms of Dunlap. This is very much a prospect should he choose to come out this year.
He was the defensive most valuable player in the 2009 FedEx BCS National Championship game a year ago. First team All-SEC. And Tony Pike has been under heavy pressure all night long.
And again, not just from the front seven or the front four, but that pressure is a result of the shutdown coverage that this athletic Florida secondary is able to do to these Cincinnati receivers, making it very difficult for Tony Pike to get anything off with any kind of rhythm.
Minute and 32 seconds away from our Reese's halftime report. Chris, Eddie, and Jimmy bringing a full day of college football on this, the first day of 2010. The Reese's BCS halftime show. That went off the toe, it looked like, of the punter Rogers. Great field position for the Gators with 1:23 left. And after Florida took that timeout a moment ago, they're very much thinking about scoring again.
Well, this is that running punt I referred to earlier. It delays the kick itself. You can see he's just going to move out to the side here. And that's hard to do on the run. And if you don't hit it just right, it helps to isolate coverage packages. Can be very effective, but it's a hard thing to do. And that just shanked off the side of his foot. They're lucky it rolled for the distance that it did.
Tebow to throw on first down. And this is Rainey. And he is tackled at the 40-yard line. Gain of 14 on first down. Minute 15 to play. They'll stop the clock to reset the chains and then start it back up.
Rainey on the outside is what we were referring to as how effective he is on the outside and why they've kept him out there.
Tebow looking around, and he'll keep it himself. Caught from behind by Alex Daniels, just short of a first down. Gators do have 2 timeouts remaining. We're under a minute. All day to throw for Tebow. And then finally felt from pressure from Alex Daniels and an incomplete pass. Those have been few and far between tonight. 18 of 20 for over 300 passing yards here in the first half for Tim Tebow.
And I've got to tell you, when we met them earlier in the week, it's the first time I've actually met Tim Tebow. I've got to tell you how shocked I was. I mean, I've been watching him on TV like everybody, but how just a big and this is a man now. This is as big and physical a specimen as I've seen at the quarterback position in a long, long time.
Be very interested to hear in the second half your thoughts, Brian Billick, of Tim Tebow's future at the next level as a quarterback. We're going to celebrate his final game here tonight collegiately, but you know, you've been around the NFL and around quarterbacks for a long, long time.
Well, as I said, and we'll talk about it in the half.
Illegal shift on the offense, 2-minute in motion without setting. 5-yard penalty, third down.
And there's a lot of scrutiny that's going to come over Tim Tebow, and we'll touch on in the second half. But you meet this young man, regardless of what the odds are, whatever his future is, this young man's going to be okay. What an outstanding individual he is. Has great personal confidence and strength, not arrogance, but there's a personal strength in what it is he wants to do. but he's going to be challenged over the next little bit as he moves on to this next level, because now it is about the business. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to scrutinize everything that he does. And he'll be fine with it, but I worry about him. I do, because he's going to be scrutinized in a way that I'm not sure he's totally prepared for.
Really is amazing. You and I were talking about this before we had a chance even to sit down with the Gators. You know, you go back to the championship game last year and really throughout his entire career. I don't know if it has to do with his faith. I don't know what it has to do really with anything, but it is amazing some of the jealousy and the cynicism and the sarcasm that is directed at a young man that, you know, it's safe to say. I mean, who wouldn't want your kid to grow up to be like Tim Tebow, right?
But you can be Tebowized. It can be too much, and it's not the young man's fault. We do it all the time as the media, but sometimes you can just wear out your team. You can even wear out your fans.
Hernandez a catch, tackled by Schaefer at the 30. Stop the clock as they convert to a first down. They're trying to hurry to that line of scrimmage before they started back up. 19 seconds remaining.
You know, it was interesting to listen to them talk about how the way this team, and he's come in, it's been very much made public about he's got a great personal faith. He's very faith-based. And you can be put in some very uncomfortable situations. It was interesting to hear how readily his teammates protect him. If they're out and about and they see some things going on that obviously could put him in a compromising situation, you know, I mean, you're on a college campus, those things happen. They jump in right away. They protect him from those types of things.
Nelson the catch, run out of bounds, stopping the clock with 14 seconds left.
You know, at the halftime discussions of a coach and his team, in this instance Jeff Quinn and his Cincinnati Bearcats, at halftime down 30-0, a lot of soul searching. You're going to find out what you're about as a man, as a team, as a teammate in these kind of situations. Regardless of win or lose, they're trying times, but this is what college football is about as well.
Tebow to throw it in the waning seconds. Corner of the end zone incomplete. Clock stops with 8 seconds remaining. Tebow looking over to the sideline. It is a 4th down, and out comes Caleb Sturgis in the field goal unit. Of course, Cincinnati, we talk so much about Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow, but you know, Brian Kelly, I mean, you talk about a man who single-handedly, along with help, but I mean, in the most high-profile position, raised this Bearcat football program from mediocrity, as that field goal is no good from 39 yards away. But Brian Kelly is watching tonight, undoubtedly the biggest Cincinnati Bearcat fan in the world, and you know it pains him not to be here. The whole system and the way it's set up. I know you've thought a lot about that, and really can feel for Brian Kelly for not being here tonight to finish this magical season.
And you wish there was something the NCAA could do to help the situation, because you know, you do feel like it's an abandonment, but there's a business side to it, and no one can fault Brian Kelly. The job that he's done here at Cincinnati, you're right, it's second to none. And he's certainly deserving of an opportunity like he's getting at Notre Dame. No one can fault him for that. But to be able to have to leave these kids at this time, 12-0 season, bringing into this Sugar Bowl game, you'd like to think there's some kind of apparatus that could be put in place to prevent this type of situation presenting itself.
Jacob Ramsey on the final play of the first half, a frustrating half for one game. Interim head coach Jeff Quinn, the right-hand man of Brian Kelly for 21 years. 30-3, Gators in front. Stay tuned for the Reese's BCS halftime show with Chris, Jimmy, and Eddie. It's coming up right after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Welcome back to New Orleans, set for the second half of the All-State Sugar Bowl alongside the coach Brian Billick and Chris Myers, Tom Brenneman. Great to have you with us. Happy New Year again, everybody. Hope you're hanging in there. Maybe a late night last night. It feels like a late night through one half of football if you're Jeff Quinn and the Cincinnati Bearcats. What do you say to your team here at halftime?
Well, it's really not about winning or losing. Not that you give up on the thought of a comeback. But how are you going to conduct yourself in the second half? Are you going to go out and fight? Are you going to remain a team member? Are you going to lose your discipline? Are you going to lose your cool? We're going to start seeing a bunch of penalties. How you conduct yourself this second half is going to really tell more about you as an individual than what this final score is.
For more on what took place at halftime, let's check in downstairs with Chris Myers.
Tom, Brian, when I talked to Jeff Quinn, a fiery Jeff Quinn, that's exactly what he had to tell his team. He said, we didn't come all this way to be embarrassed. And he was going to go over some fundamental things that he would consider going to backup quarterback Zach Caleros, but made it very clear Tony Pike not responsible. He's not putting the blame on him. As for Urban Meyer, a very sedate Urban Meyer said, boy, everything's working well, even with a number of injuries on the team. And he did say that because this team can score points fast, Cincinnati, remember they were down 21 against Pittsburgh, we're not going to let up. Tim Tebow's going to play as long as he has to. We're going to ride the hot hand. It's his last game in his college career. We want him to enjoy this. And Urban Meyer, of course, was enjoying the way the Florida Gators played through the first half and expects more of the second half, but got the impression, Tom, that he was not going to ease up despite the score.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Of course, Urban Meyer still has so many ties to the city of Cincinnati, and not only a University of Cincinnati alum, undergraduate degree from there. His father graduated from there, now a chemical engineer, and makes his home in Cincinnati. Both of Urban's sisters lived there. In fact, one of them a provost of the University of Cincinnati. And he is back in the Queen City a great deal during the summer, seeing his family. In fact, we see him at Reds games on a pretty regular basis in the summertime.
And however this game transpires in the second half, you're just letting your guys play. Now, you're up 30-0. It's really kind of a tough position to be in as a coach because you got to be competitive. You, too, want your guys to finish strong, not just Jeff Quinn and the Cincinnati Bearcats, but you want your guys to acquit themselves well in this second half. I can imagine they'll roll some players through here. And keep in mind, for some of these guys, this is the last time they're going to have a University of Florida uniform on. You want it to be a positive experience for them to finish off.
And one of them is standing back waiting for this kickoff. Wandy Pierre-Louis playing his final game as a Gator. But he'll give way to Chris Rainey from the 2-yard line. And Rainey into the open field. And run out of bounds by the kicker, Jake Rogers, at the Cincinnati 43-yard line. Our GMC made the best truck win. First half statistics dominated, much like the score, by the Gators.
Well, obviously they had the big play to Cooper, but it's amazing that, again, the time of possession, the number of first downs generated. This is, as I said, Florida really is a half-court offense, and they've executed it to perfection tonight.
Tim Tebow will now begin his final half as a Florida Gator, at least on the field. He'll forever be a Florida Gator. And another strike to Aaron Hernandez, his favorite target all night tonight. That's the 8th catch of the game. And knocking on the door of 100 receiving yards for Aaron Hernandez.
I got to tell you, Tim Tebow has impressed me tonight with his accuracy. He's got a Cincinnati defender bearing down on him, and he's able to get that ball off. Now, Hernandez, a very impressive night, obviously. Got a big sweep spot. You can put a lot of places with these big Florida receivers, and they'll come down with it. But he has been very accurate with his throws tonight.
And again, for those of you that weren't with us in the first half, Brian Billick is going to talk a little bit about Tim Tebow here in the second half. There has been so much made of, can Tebow play quarterback at the next level? You even asked him about it the other day in our visit with him.
Yeah, and obviously this young man has goals and aspirations, and he's very upfront about it. He says, all I want is the opportunity. I understand people will critique me. I've been told my whole life because of my size and athleticism, you should be playing this, you should be playing that. If I'm destined to play something else, so be it. But I want the opportunity. You've got to prove to me I can't play quarterback, and that's a good attitude to have.
Tebow guns it over the middle. It's caught by Deontay Thompson. And he's caught from behind at the 11-yard line by Curtis Young. And a big night for Thompson.
Yeah, now it begins with great protection, but I want you to watch patience. The patience of Tebow sweeping across the field. He's got great protection, but he doesn't bail out, begins to climb the pocket suddenly, and then boom, the ball is out and very accurate with the throw.
Carl Johnson back in at left guard to begin the second half for the Gators. Tebow will keep it himself, and that did not fool Curtis Young. Well played by the senior linebacker out of Glenville High School. That's a high school, of course, coached outside of Cleveland by Ted Ginn Sr., the father, yes, of electrifying Miami Dolphin wideout Ted Ginn Jr.
These are winning numbers now. Coach in America wouldn't kill to have those kind of numbers, that kind of completion percentage, big plays, but very careful with the ball. 3 touchdowns, no turnovers.
Play blown dead before it ever got started.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense, number 81. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Yeah, let's look a little bit about that throwing action we're talking about, Tom, and this is what the pro people are going to be picking apart. I want you to watch now as he comes back, and most everything's a play action with him, but right here, as he stop right there, I want you to watch how low he drops the ball. He brings that thing almost down to his thigh pad every time he throws, and that's what's got the pro people most concerned.
Plays it off for Hernandez, and he is tackled at the 8-yard line.
Here's another shot of it, and we'll stop it just as he brings it down, and he's very consistent with this. First off, to bring it down this low, and this is the similar throwing action with just about every stop right there. See, he brings it down almost to the thigh pad, and then I want you to watch the sweeping action of the arc of the throw. That's a very long, deliberate release that will cause him problems at the next level.
Why?
Well, the biggest thing is that the time that it takes. So much of it is anticipation.
He'll take it and is denied the end zone, but he may have gotten a first down.
When you think about the great quarterbacks in the league, let's compare it to, say, a Dan Marino. What made Dan Marino so great? The ball was out of his hands quickly. The windows of opportunity in the NFL are so much more compressed compared to the college game. When that opening is there, it's got to get out quickly.
All right, but in all fairness now, hold on a minute. You just compared him to a guy that's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there are a lot of guys you and I see every Sunday that aren't going to the Hall of Fame. And
yeah,
apparently he did not get a first down, so they're going to go for it on 4th and inches.
Why not here? Probably ride option in there and then get to the edge.
Option it is. To the edge. Moody, touchdown, Gators.
Just a variation of the option, of the speed option. The basic part of obviously this offense, his ability to keep the ball and take it into the end zone. They've got to honor, so I'm going to flip it out as they close on me. Let Moody have his second touchdown of the day. But back to what we were talking about, Tom, it's all about turnovers. And when you have that elongated release, DB's ability to close on that, that's going to be a problem that has to be corrected as he goes into the NFL.
The Allstate Sugar Bowl is sponsored by Allstate, proud sponsor of college football and the Allstate Sugar Bowl. Are you in good hands? By Warner Brothers Pictures' Edge of Darkness, starring Mel Gibson, in theaters everywhere January 29th, and by DirecTV. No one else has all your favorite channels in HD.
Right.
Emmanuel Moody getting a lot of playing time here tonight after the injury early on to Jeff Demps. And Moody with the touchdown run to give Florida a 37-3 lead. Only 3 minutes have passed here in the third quarter. Marty Gilliard. Dropped by Janoris Jenkins. Take a look at tonight's Taco Bell impact players so far. Tebow, one of his best games as a player. And Carlos Dunlap has done it on defense, coming back with a couple of sacks tonight. The numbers for Tebow just staggering. There they are.
And both these athletes, Dunlap, very much pro potential. You got a lot of players on this Florida team that some waiting to declare whether they'll go into the NFL or not. Obviously, some graduated seniors, but as typical, Florida will be well represented in the draft in April.
Quick tip to Marty Gilliard. That'll be a gain of 3 on first down for the Bearcats.
You know, and this is a test for Tony Pike as well. You know, we've been focusing on Tebow, but Pike expected to go fairly high in the draft. And how he handles the athleticism, the matchups with his receivers and these Florida DBs is something that's going to be scrutinized. You always want to see players you're evaluating against the best competition there is.
Isaiah Peed, about a half-yard shy of a first down. Peed is a very good-looking back. Only a sophomore. We mentioned out of Columbus, Ohio. Extremely fast. Won the Ohio Division II state championship in the 400-meter dash. 48 seconds. 400 meters. That's moving. Mike being chased, throws, catch made by DJ Woods, his first reception of the game. Penalty flag on the far side of the field.
I think we had Florida offsides. May have been Dunlap on the right side. Somebody got a jump on the right side of that Florida defensive line.
Offside on the defense, number 40. That penalty's declined. First down.
That's 3 or 4 penalties tonight on Brandon Hicks, a junior out of Jacksonville. He's filling in for the injured A.J. Jones.
Where the offense is now.
And Cincinnati has stayed committed to this no huddle. They feel like that's still the best way to not let Florida get dialed in with its multiple blitzes. And that this is the best way for them to move the ball. Only moderately successful tonight.
Again, Gilliard across midfield. That'll be a gain of 8 on first down. Tripped up by Spikes. Now Pike, as you mentioned, playing in his final game collegiately tonight. There are a lot of pro scouts very excited about him in the upcoming draft.
Yeah, they really are. They're between Gilliard and Pike are probably the the top 2 prospects for Cincinnati. Where they'll go, we got a long process to go. We can talk about that a little bit as well, under a lot of scrutiny. But Gilliard, particularly now when you see a Percy Harvin and Macklin, the success they have, a guy that can be in the slot, be a returner for you, a lot of value with a pick like Gilliard.
Isaiah Peed cuts it back to the inside. Well, that's good running there by Peed. And even with his team down 37-3, he has a first down to the Florida 40-yard line. Tripped up by Ahmad Black.
And you talk about finish. The defensive coordinator for Florida, Charlie Strong, who is going on to become the head coach at Louisville, and well-deserved. He's all about, we got to finish, guys. He's an intense coach, and he's going to push and prod these guys to not let down the fundamentals, not let down the techniques. Even though you're up 37-3, he don't want to let him in the end zone.
Armand bends, blanket coverage by Joe Hayden, but the catch is made to the 32-yard line. We've talked so much about Florida's coaching situation. Jeff Quinn, of course, the one-game interim head coach after Brian Kelly left to take the job at Notre Dame, and the Bearcats have already named their next head coach, who will take over the reins following the game tonight. Butch Jones out of Central Michigan University. That's where they hired Brian Kelly from, Central Michigan. Crossing route caught by Ben's, first down. Standing by with Coach Jones is Chris Myers.
Tom, thank you. Well, a little bit of a good drive here going for Cincinnati. And if you're looking for a bright spot, Coach, first, your observation on this game. You don't officially take over, so is this a little awkward for you to be standing and watching?
Well, you know what? I've received a different perspective, being able to sit up in the stands and watch everything. And, you know, these kids have played their hearts out all year, 12-0, and just excited to take over. And Monday we'll have a team meeting and start from ground zero and laying the foundation and continue building this football program.
We'll watch this play. Catch made by DJ Woods. Chris, take it away.
And Coach, how much communication did you have during the week with Jeff Quinn and or Brian Kelly, the previous head coach who moved on to Notre Dame, with this team here?
Well, I've tried to step back and let the seniors have their time and finish the season the right way. So I've kind of laid back, and it's been a good time to evaluate the program, evaluate the personnel, and then take time to hire a coaching staff, and also take time to gain a recruiting class as well.
As we watch one more play, I want to ask you about what kind of challenge there is with the foundation that's been put in place here for Cincinnati football.
Well, I think it's very exciting. As a coach, you want expectations, and obviously at the University of Cincinnati, we have very high expectations, and we expect to win. So just to continue the winning process, and, you know, obviously to win the Big East, contend to win that, and then to contend to win a national championship as well.
And I'll put you on the spot as our guest analyst here. The mismatch, the second BCS Bowl, I'm sure Cincinnati fans, they're saying, hey, we thought we had a better chance here in this game than what we're showing tonight so far.
Well, I think the big key is, you know, we got to do a better job of tackling on defense and then sustaining drives on offense. And the big thing has been big plays and third down efficiency.
All right, Butch Jones, good luck the rest of the way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We thank Coach Jones and wish him certainly good luck as Tony Pike carries for a first down to the Florida 11-yard line. You know, you want to talk about ironic. Let's go back to Brian Kelly, head coach at Central Michigan University. He was hired by the University of Cincinnati. Jeff Quinn, his offensive coordinator, coached the bowl game, won the game. Quinn interviewed for the head coaching job at Central Michigan, wasn't hired. Who was hired? Butch Jones. Brian Kelly leaves Cincinnati to go to Notre Dame. Jeff Quinn coaches the bowl game. He interviews for the head coaching job along with Butch Jones. Butch Jones gets a job.
Well, the longer you're in this, the more you realize this is a very small fraternity of coaches. The opportunities that present themselves.
Incomplete pass. And, you know, in all fairness to Jeff Quinn, we very much enjoyed our visit with him the other day. A dynamic, very passionate, aggressive, tough head coach, now on his way for the first time ever as a head man at the University of Buffalo following Turner Gill. He's going to do real well there.
And a similar challenge as Jones coming in Cincinnati. Turner Gill done a great job with Buffalo. Those expectations are higher, and it's not like he's having to go in and rebuild a team and an organization. Similar challenges for both Coach Quinn and Coach Jones.
Mike on 2nd and 10. Nearly intercepted. He had an eye on DJ Woods. Ahmad Black and Janoris Jenkins were both there in coverage.
Yeah, we've seen this the better part of the game now, where you got to get your quarterback out around the perimeter. Just not quite enough loft. Nice job by the secondary reacting. Again, the athletic ability of the Florida secondary. The tough thing for Tony Pike right now, he may have to throw in a couple balls that are a little risky because, you know, go down with your boots on, right? Take a shot here.
Mike guns it over the middle to Woods, and he's very close to a first down. You know, Gilliard got all the pubs, so too did Benz this year. Woods is going to be a good player. Only a sophomore.
We got a lot of, you know what, I was amazed, Tom, as I got prepared for this game. And, you know, I was originally born in Ohio. I know the tradition, rich tradition in Ohio. But the number of kids, 51 kids on scholarship. And a lot of them from the Cincinnati area.
26 of the 51 players from Cincinnati.
That's got to be a lot of good high school football being played to draw that many kids out of the program.
Wide open, and Cincinnati, its first touchdown of the night. Marcus Waugh, a linebacker who comes in like situations by the goal line. The touchdown reception.
Nice job by Tony Pike after the quick play fake. Comes over the top. Very accurate with the throw. Again, with Pike, you can see, compared to, say, Tebow, the fundamentals very tight. Carries the ball very high. Gets the ball out of his hands very, very quickly.
Point after is good. Ball playing in his final game tonight out of White House, Ohio. The former fullback turned defender with a touchdown.
The Allstate Sugar Bowl on Fox is sponsored by the Sierra from GMC. Never send a truck to do a Sierra's job.
Get a look at the Superdome and the city of New Orleans in our aerial coverage brought to you by Bud Light. The city continues to get its feet, its legs back underneath it following Katrina shortly thereafter. A year and a half later, Gustav. They're doing a nice job down here.
They have, and we've been back a couple times given our covering of the Saints. It was great to see the town so full of people and so alive.
Of course, they're so excited about the New Orleans Saints, but they're a little worried right now. You and I are going to do the Saints on Sunday.
Yeah, they ought to be a little worried.
They've lost 2 in a row after the beginning of the year, 13-0. Chris Rainey brings it out to the 25-yard line. Is Tim Tebow coming back into the game? It looks like he is. Tim Tebow all the time, our exclusive Tebow Cam. A camera tonight dedicated to showing the Florida quarterback in his final collegiate game. Tebow Cam exclusively at foxsports.com. We did that for Brett Favre earlier this year when he came back to play for the Vikings in Green Bay. That's the thing about the college game, Coach, and the difference from the pros. Not that you can't have a guy in the pros and they leave as a free agent or a rare trade, but in college, when you live in Gainesville or you live in Cincinnati, follow a program anywhere in the country, doesn't make any difference. You get to know these guys. Tebow, you got to know him a lot faster than most others, but then 4 years later, they're gone.
Well, the NFL's getting close to that. It's about a 25% attrition in the NFL anymore in terms of the turnover, so a little bit more like college in that regard.
Catch made by Cooper, short of a first down. 3rd and 2 upcoming for the Gators.
Tom, and as I talk about the fundamentals of Tebow, don't get me wrong here now. He does a lot of things really well. The issue, and he doesn't have to convince the NFL he can play. He just got to convince one team, one general manager, one coach that I can be that player. The question, and he will be drafted, make no mistake. The question becomes how high.
Third down and 2. Tebow steps into it, throws, catch made by Cooper, a first down in midfield. I liked your line when you talked the other day about these so-called experts out there talking about drafting Tebow. I love your line.
Well, you see a lot of people commenting on it, and it's all well and good. It's hard not to root for the kid. But I hear a lot of people saying, oh, boy, if I were a general manager, I'd take this kid. The thing is, you're not. And until your fanny is on the line and you're going to be held responsible for actually making the pick, that's a different perspective. Because particularly if you're going to make him a first round, you miss on the first round on a quarterback, you end up doing games on Fox and college bowl game.
Catch made by Riley Cooper inside the 5. That's pretty good coverage that time by Dominique Battle, young man out of Boca Raton, Florida. But Riley, as you brought up earlier, so tall and so strong.
Great size, great athlete. This is just one-on-one coverage. He's right on it. Nice transition. But good size, good reaching back. Riley Cooper is an interesting prospect going forward, particularly in the offseason. Now you talk about the scrutiny that Tebow's going to go under. Riley Cooper, I think, has a chance to move up some draft boards because I think he's going to have a very good combine. And I think he'll continue to impress people with his size and his speed.
Of course, a lot of people thought Cooper might try and give it a try with baseball. Hey, look, taking nothing away from football, but there are a lot of guys that come back to football and basketball after giving baseball a try. It's a whole different animal and skill set.
Yeah, and how tough is life when you're a good-looking young college kid going to come out with a degree from Florida? You go pro baseball or pro football.
Yeah,
life's pretty good.
You got it.
You and I didn't quite have those options.
Well, you did. I had none of them.
You had the good-looking part.
Really? What happened? You were the guy that was on Match Game. The old Gene Rayburn show.
Don't go down that road.
Tebow looking around and into the end zone. The 57th rushing touchdown in the career of Tim Tebow. An all-time SEC record, 8th game this season with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. He's playing one of the best games of his career in the final game of his career.
Urban Meyer's obviously got to feel good about what's going on tonight, and if for no other reason because sending off, again, you made the point, Tom, the winningest senior group in the history of the SEC. Great way for them to go out.
The All-State Sugar Bowl on Fox is sponsored by GMC. Put us up against anyone and may the best truck win. By Tostitos, good times guaranteed. And by AT&T, a better 3G experience.
(44-10), the Gators in front. Tebow. A rushing touchdown, 3 passing touchdowns. And the 4 total ties a Sugar Bowl record. Gilliard, a yard deep in the end zone. Gilliard still competing out there, playing hard, running hard. Great overhead shots all night tonight, brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. What's cool, Cameron?
Oh boy,
we're normally not big league enough to get that regularly.
We got to put together a little pool. I'll pay to have that thing in our games.
Really? Well, Lord knows you've got the glue to do it. Out to the 40-yard line, Jacob Ramsey.
The glue to do it? I got to get glued into that. Tony Pike's an interesting prospect going forward. A lot of people will compare him, I think, to Joe Flacco, if for no other reason, just because of the size. I do, and I think it's a favorable comparison. I'm not sure he has quite the arm that Joe has, but he's got a lot of the intangibles, and the size isn't going to scare people because he's got a fairly fluid delivery. If you look at Pike, we looked at Tebow's throwing action. I want you to watch Pike's throwing action here. And just watch from the look at how high, more traditional, right at the shoulder level. And even though he's obviously at 6'6", a long-armed kid, the ball comes out very readily, very quickly, and he's very accurate. So certainly a more traditional delivery, and that would be the thing you'd worry about with a big, tall quarterback like that. But he's got a very fluid release.
Pike, a very good athlete as well. We've seen him run effectively here tonight. Good enough for a first down on a carry by Jacob Ramsey. All right, walk me through the 4 or 5 things that when you're a general manager, head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, you want to see in a college quarterback when considering bringing him to the NFL.
Well, the top 2 things I'll tell you, and the vogue things in the league right now, one is the guy a gym rat. Is he a guy that just loves the game and will immerse himself? Well, Tim Tebow's that, as is Tony Pike. Accuracy, that's the number 1 thing right now. Is he an accurate passer? Tony Pike clearly is an accurate passer in a traditional way. Tim Tebow's accuracy numbers are unquestionable, but in the style of play and what he's had to do and the way he throws, that will be the question that people will have. Can he be accurate in a more traditional pro-style offense?
Some of the athleticism there by Pike. And nearly intercepted. All right, now, the one thing I think a lot of people at home are surprised You talked about being a gym rat, and you talked about the accuracy. I think a lot of people are surprised you didn't say right away arm strength.
And most people will tell you arm strength, if there's a list of 10 things, arm strength is going to be around 6, 7, or 8. It's obviously you have to have a certain amount of ability to throw the ball, but vision, athleticism, to use a Bill Walsh term, the full repertoire of throws. That means deep balls, short balls, throwing out into the flat. You've got to be able to make all the throws, and that's what you look at a college quarterback coming out. Is he capable of making all the throws?
Incomplete with an eye on Ben Gdooling. Penalty flag down. That's against the Gators.
The other thing they'll question about Tim Tebow, I will tell you, is, and this is not his fault, it's not Urban Meyer's fault, he's not in a system that is a read system. He's not had to go through progression reads. He is see it and throw it, one, maybe two guys within the read. That doesn't mean he can't do it.
Ineligible downfield, number 66. Correction, number 66 on the offense. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
But Tim Tebow has not needed to do that in his current system. And so when you go to draft a guy, here's the difficulty in a nutshell for Tim Tebow. No question about the abilities, character. Can you take a guy in the first round where you have to now teach him from scratch a read progression system and change everything about his mechanics of taking a snap, dropping, and throwing the ball? That's a lot to ask.
Great coverage on DJ Woods by Ahmad Black. No chance for the completion there for Tony Pike.
I think we're getting at the point, though, now, do we start to see some other people on the field for Urban Meyer and the Florida Gators? When you're up 44-10, we're just now coming into the 4th quarter. Part of the great thing about a bowl game is you get a lot of young players some playing time heading into the next year.
Well, we talked a little bit about the NFL here tonight, and Fox NFL Sunday, a doubleheader, final weekend of the season. Certainly playoff implications abound, and the Eagles and Cowboys will play for the NFC East Championship in Dallas. Coverage begins with a Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
We've been here for about 3-4 days, Tom. How many times were you asked if the Saints going to be okay? I couldn't get a cup of coffee or a drink if I didn't. Someone asking about the Saints. We have that game this weekend. I'll be very surprised if the Saints don't play all their players and want to come out of a win against a very good physical Carolina team.
Have an injured Bearcat. Tough to tell the number from where we are right here. We'll find out here in a moment. It's Malik Beaumont.
Right into here.
Well,
right
that's
in here
weak. That is weak. I mean, come on. That's 35 yards away from the ball.
Besides being illegal, blocking the back. Surprised it wasn't called.
Lucky that young man wasn't hurt. Really hurt.
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing that when a game gets like this, you worry about those things. You worry about the lack of focus. Florida taking over with that first group inside the 5-yard line.
By the way, Tim Tebow tonight has 471 yards of total offense. 471.
Prior to the snap. Prior to the snap. False start. Number 57 in the offense. Half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
I only bring that up because that has set a BCS record for most total yards in a game by one player, breaking the record of Vince Young, leading the Texas Longhorns. That great national championship game, beating the SC Trojans.
Young's name, you're going to hear a lot of Vince Young's name come up with regards to Tim Tebow because of the style of play.
Well, that's the end of the third quarter. 44-10, the Allstate Sugar Bowl on Fox. We'll continue after a word from your local Fox station. Well, the final quarter in the collegiate career of the great Tim Tebow is set to begin here in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the Allstate Sugar Bowl. And out of the shotgun from his own end zone with a 44-10 lead, a second down and 13. And Tebow rolls, throws, incomplete.
I'll tell you what jumps out at me watching this impressive performance by Florida. I don't think anybody would argue that Cincinnati is worthy of being the third, fourth, fifth rated team in the in all of college football with a 12-0 record. Watching Florida dismantle Cincinnati, how good is Alabama? This is going to be a very interesting game. Alabama versus Texas this coming week.
Catch made by Riley Cooper out to the 7-yard line, but Gators will punt it away. We mentioned beginning tomorrow morning, that man right there, Steve Addazio, becomes the acting head coach at the University of Florida. Urban Meyer will take an indefinite leave of absence. Nobody has any idea whether or not he will come back. If he does come back, when would he come back? Will he be back in the summer? Would he be back for the first game of the year next year? If he's not, Addazio will be the guy. What does that mean for the Gator program?
Well, one thing this program has done, particularly under Urban Meyer, it has adapted to its personnel brilliantly. When you talk about the evolution, the way they're going forward because of the people that Steve Addazio is going to have available to him.
Talk more about that in a moment.
The Allstate Sugar Bowl is sponsored by Nissan. Get great deals on everything in Nissan's lineup during Nissan's A to Z year-end sales event going on now. By DirecTV, no one else has all your favorite channels in HD. And by Reese's, the perfect combination of chocolate and peanut butter.
Our great overhead shots tonight brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Tony Pike still in there, the senior out of Cincinnati's Reading High School. Pike slings it to Marty Gilliard, and he has a gain of 11. Let's get back to Steve Addazio, though, very quickly. And, you know, what all this means looking ahead to for the University of Florida. They've already lost a major recruit to in-state rival Florida State since this whole Urban Meyer saga began a week ago tomorrow. Of course, they're very much in the hunt on the recruiting trail. There are still a number of big-time players that have not made commitments. In fact, there are 2 or 3 of them that the Gators are very much in the mix with, going against the likes of Ohio State and Alabama right in the final 3-4 teams.
But both coaches and players even talked about, you know, these programs are not about those individuals. Certainly Urban Meyer, huge credit for what he's done at Florida. Brian Kelly at Cincinnati. But this isn't the University of Urban Meyer. This isn't the University of Brian Kelly. And there's a great deal of pride in these institutions. And these guys recognize that that's what this is about. It's about the programs. And Steve Addazio coming in, taken over for Urban Meyer, depending upon how long that is. That obviously still up for question. Very, very much talking about it is about the program, and that's what we're going to extend is the program. I'm not going to be Urban Meyer. I can't be if I want to be, but we're going to extend the traditions and those basic fundamentals, those core values they call them, about this program.
Addazio's a good man.
He is, you know, and it was interesting.
Hey, this Isaiah Pete, this kid's still competing out there.
You know, the thing I loved about Adazio, we spent a little time with him, obviously, and I've been in this business a while. I've been coaching for 30 years. And I told him then, I says, you know what? You put 100 coaches in a room with only one offensive line coach, give me 30 minutes, and I'll tell you exactly who that one is. This guy's an offensive line coach. He's going to bring a different mentality to this, and the players are going to love it.
Not sure if Gaduli was able to get enough for a first down. It looks like a favorable spot might have it for Ben Gaduli. For more on Steve Adazio, let's check in with Chris Myers.
Well, Tom, he's the high-energy, passionate guy that Urban Meyer leans on for pregame speeches. He lights the fire. And prior to this game, when some thought that Florida might feel this was a letdown here, coming to the Sugar Bowl instead of playing for a BCS championship, it was Adazio, as Cincinnati gets the first down. It was Adazio who put the message together hours before kickoff, and he told me that he used a military phrase which was taking care of what's directly in front of you, and that was to deal with the issues of all week about Urban Meyer. And he used a Martin Luther King quote to this team: the true measure of a man comes in time of conflict. And that message, as players told me, even in pregame warmups, it's not just what he says, it's how he says it. It's one of the reasons that Joe Adazio is Urban Meyer's guy, at least on an interim basis.
No flag comes down. And Marty Gilliard can't believe it. He felt he was just flat run over by Major Wright back in the end zone, and Gilliard slow to get up.
And however they got here, we're going to see here, Gilliard is the inside of the two receivers here. He's just going to run up into the corner, and I guess they're just going to call this incidental contact.
Oh.
And feet kind of get tied up, and if you're a Florida fan, that was a very good call.
They pitch it to Pete.
But whatever the motivation was, and there was a lot of things to motivate this team. Obviously, Tim Tebow wanting to show that we love Urban Meyer, but you know what? We want to go out on a good feeling after the devastating loss in the SEC. Remember, Alabama came in here last year and had an embarrassing, lackluster performance against the University of Utah where they got beat. You got to give the Florida Gators a great deal of credit of coming in here and staying true to the value of the game. And very impressive performance.
You look very impressive, by the way, on television tonight. You're scrambling around there for a minute, but you know, you break out the three-piece suit for this All-State Sugar Bowl.
This is my first college game. I've loved it. I love the college game, and my daughter gave me this tie, so I appreciate that. I'll pass that on to her.
Well, you have your whole family down here with you, which has been very, very nice.
We had a great time.
We hope everybody had a great holiday season. I mean, just seems like a couple days ago it was Christmas, a little over a week ago now, and already rolling into the new year. We wish all of you the best year in 2010. Jeff Quinn will make his way to the University of Buffalo. We've already heard from Butch Jones tonight.
Well, the difficult thing for Florida is exactly what is it. If I'm Steve Adazio, my question is, okay, I'm the head coach. We know there's some uncertainty about Urban. What does my contract say? That's going to tell you what the direction of this program and what the level of commitment and what they think Urban Meyer is going to do. I hate to say be so clinical, but follow the money.
Incomplete. You know, Gator fans, they remember good times and they remember bad times not all that long ago. I mean, look, there are a lot of people, you know, very, very young people that might say, well, the Gators been rolling forever. Well, that's not the case. They have been a good program under Steve Spurrier. They became an exceptionally good program, won a national championship. Well, there were some dark days after that before Urban Meyer came around to build him back up into a top 2, 3, 4 program in America, just like USC. People think Pete Carroll's been out there winning games for, 55 years. They had some dark days at USC.
But they do forget, because when the good times are rolling, you forget about those bad times. And the good, it's good news, bad news for Steve Adazio. He's taken over a 13-1 team
There you go, Pike. Just a bit of an arc. Nice job. Spike's getting up and knocking it down. But good news is I'm taking over a 13-1 team. The bad news is I'm taking over a 13-1 team, and the pressures that come with that. And they love Steve Adazio. You go lose a couple games next year, you're going to find out about some of that pressure that Urban Meyer's talking about.
What a catch by Armand Benz for a touchdown. I mean, Joe Hayden all over it. And Benz, a junior out of Pasadena, California, with a touchdown reception.
And the 6'4" Benz used every inch of that. Here he just gets to an outside fade, kind of like the touchdown we saw earlier. Lots of ups. Nice job. That was a back shoulder throw, good and high. Got the right foot down. Good, strong hands. We saw a couple drop balls earlier in the day that needed that strength coming down with the ball. Very impressive catch by Armand Benz.
Point after it is good by Jake Rogers. Still a long way to go in New Orleans. 44-17 Florida.
The All-State Sugar Bowl on Fox is sponsored by Allstate, proud sponsor of college football and the All-State Sugar Bowl. Are you in good hands?
Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by Bud Light. Still a spectacular venue, this Superdome. They've done a marvelous job.
Unbelievable job with what they've done with this post-Katrina.
Well, you know, Fox will be right here in a couple of weeks. Saints will have home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs as long as they're in them. So in 2 weeks, they'll be playing right here. Against who? We don't know. Bouncing ball picked up by Rainey. And he's out to the 35. Final 10 minutes and 1 second in the extraordinary career of one of college football's all-time great players. And that's not a stretch. Not only one of the most decorated, but truly one of the great leaders, both on the field and off the field, Tim Tebow.
Well, the question is, are they going to empty that out on Urban Meyer? I was on my Super Bowl run. I told our security guard to go out and empty out all the Gatorade containers.
Why?
Because it was cold in Tampa that night.
Oh, come on.
And I wanted to stay dry.
Tebow, a big run, and barrels his way to the Bearcats' 48. He has set an all-time BCS game record for total yards. Sit on 29 of 33, 442 yards, 3 touchdowns passing. Has run for 49 yards, including a touchdown. The Nissan dual threat, Tim Tebow. Brought to you by Nissan Maxima, where the sophistication of a sedan and the performance of a sports car come together as one. Rainey wide open. Run out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Now, some might ask, is this running it up? You're ahead 44-17 and still throwing the football. It's a legitimate question. Some may not want to hear it, but it's a legitimate question.
Well, I've been on both ends of this equation, and you're never going to throw up the white flag. And I've certainly, like anybody, has been accused of running the score up. And, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you can't take a knee for the last 10 minutes.
475 passing yards for Tim Tebow, a new Sugar Bowl record. And you almost get the feeling on this drive, perhaps Urban Meyer displaying the talents of this young man, Tim Tebow, out of Nice High School outside of Jacksonville, Florida. Well documented, son of a preacher. Was born in the Philippines, of course, was Tim Tebow, and his father and his ministry and starting an orphanage in the Philippines. They call it Uncle Dick's, where Tebow has spent so much time, raised so much money. Still on his feet and run out of bounds. Emmanuel Mooney. Tebow has helped raise more than $300,000 while in Florida, which has enabled children to get in their own beds, drink clean water, give them food to eat. And he talks all the time about his long-term future, his ultimate hope that football will provide a way for him to run a charitable empire. His life experiences are so unique compared to, I don't know about you, Coach, but anybody I know. I mean, when you're talking about spending your off season doing mission work in a foreign land and helping children that don't know the first thing about American football, pretty special. As is tonight for the Gators. Touchdown run for Chris Rainey when leaping right over Dominique Battle into the end zone.
Now there again, just the speed option going down. You can pick your poison. We can take Tim Tebow. I can take care of Rainey on the outside. Nice athletic move. Going over the top. That
think
he had some hang time there. Now he could have dunked the ball on the way down.
You almost wonder as you see that shot of Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer. We know it's Tebow's last game. Is tonight Urban Meyer's last game? Who could imagine a college football season without seeing those two guys?
The All-State Sugar Bowl on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, a better 3G experience. By G2, half the calories, all the G. And by Taco Bell, think outside the bun.
(51-17), Florida in front. 7 touchdowns, yet another Sugar Bowl record. Tough night for Marty Gilliard and the Bearcats. You know, we were talking about Gilliard and about his upbringing in Bunnell, Florida. But even once he got into college, story's been told many times, in 2006, had his scholarship pulled by Brian Kelly. He lived in his car working 3 jobs because he had to pay for 1 semester of his tuition, and he did it. That tells you a lot about Marty Gilliard.
It does. Kind of that tough love that obviously here's the result.
Celebration beginning on the Florida sideline, although this one has been in check for quite a while. Travis Kelce comes into the game for the first time, redshirt freshman. His brother is the starting left guard. Kelce, a great high school quarterback, and they use him in that wildcat formation. He's also their number 3 tight end.
Here they're staying in it.
Florida with a win.
Yeah, just finish it out. You know, just keep playing, keep utilizing the full game plan.
Florida with a win tonight. As they give it to Pede, come back to Pike. He's going to throw for Marty Gilliard. And he couldn't hang on. The Gators will become the first team in FBS history, that's Division 1A college football, to win 13 games in back-to-back years. Penalty flag came in down there, by the way. Looked like Wandy Pierre Louis made contact with Mr. Gilliard.
And what makes that back-to-back 13-win seasons? That's in the SEC. That's a hard thing to do now, given that caliber.
Personal foul, face mask, number 4 on the defense. 15-yard penalty for the previous spot, first down.
thing I admire about Urban Meyer in his career is his ability to adapt to whatever personnel he had. He's at Bowling Green. He's got Josh Harris as the quarterback. And they basically ran the speed option, give her pitch. Gets to Utah, has a different type of athlete. Alex Smith adds another component to it, more orchestrated down the field. And then he comes to Florida and has a Tim Tebow and adds a whole other dimension to it.
John Doble for an 8-yard gain. Carlos Dunlap rolling around in pain for the Gators, and he'll limp off to the sideline. Hopefully he's okay.
It will be interesting to see what this Cincinnati program does going forward. You know, it's reached some unbelievable heights. Like we said in the open, that this was an opportunity to establish itself among the college football elite. Obviously, with this kind of performance coming up short, but still huge strides. But again, what's the next step for it? Can it do this on a consistent basis out of the Big East? And they've done a great job with their facilities there. Very impressed with the commitment to it.
Brian Kelly's a special guy now. I mean, for anybody who has paid any attention to his career, he has been a head football coach for a long, long time. I mean, this is the first guy that Notre Dame has hired in really a decade and a half that is a legitimate winning head football coach at the collegiate level for an extended period of time. A couple of national championships in the D2 level, and will now take over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Kelly also a good man. Had a chance to get to know him, and certainly wish him good luck as he moves on to the Fighting Irish. They've got work to do at Notre Dame.
Sure it does.
It's not been pretty for a number of years.
No, but has the energy off the field as well. That's part of it, that you've got to energize that base. That's something that you talk about. Butch Jones is going to come in here, and he's going to have to match that as well, because as I understand it, you know, living in Cincinnati much better than I do, but he energized, Brian Kelly energized that community. You've got to get the community involved, and it's very proud of this program, but that's got to be sustained.
Tell you what else Brian Kelly did. Now think about this for a minute as Ben Guidugli has helped off the field. I mean, what Kelly did with his team, academically speaking, not only winning games on the field, Cincinnati was the #1 team among the BCS top 10 in academic ranking. There's an incomplete pass. 75% graduation rate for a top 10 program now. You know, the Notre Dames and the Northwesterns of the world, they're at 90. The Dukes of the world, they're at 90%. For teams that are winning and winning big and in the top 10, Cincinnati by far #1, highest graduation rate. They were the only school in the top 10 to pass 70% graduation rate. So Kelly did it not only on the field, but making these kids get after it in the classroom.
And that's the great thing about that. It shows that you can do it the right way, that you can win in college football doing it the right way.
Timeout called by Jeff Quinn. 5:41 to go. Well, we still have 3 more games coming your way right here on Fox in our Bowl Bash. It begins tomorrow. This game might be starting in about a half hour the way we're going. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic. Then on Monday, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Pair of unbeatens there. Then the FedEx Orange Bowl. Bowl Bash continues tomorrow, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, only on Fox. Brian, I know this was your first college game. And, you know, for those of us at Fox that have been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be a part of this BCS coverage, we lose the rights to the coverage of the BCS at the end of this bowl season. And certainly has been a great honor to have the opportunity to be a part of it. College football is a great game. Great game filled with great people.
Phenomenal game. I miss a lot of, I was a college coach for 12 years. I miss the whole college scene to a certain degree.
like you say, in the kids, the fact that you impact the lives of your players the way you do as a college coach.
Noble fell down as he made that catch on 3rd down. So now 4th down upcoming for the Bearcats.
I got to tell you, though, again, I'm old school enough. It still feels odd. And I grew up with the road, you know, watching football day on New Year's Day, you know, and the Cotton Bowl, and you'd watch the Gator Bowl, and you'd have the Sugar Bowl, and of course the Rose Bowl. And that we still got a lot more bowls still to go after New Year's Day. That, I don't know, still feels odd.
It does, you're right. 4th down and 9 for Pike and the Bearcats. Catch made by DJ Woods. And he lunges forward trying to get into the end zone and came up a half-yard short. Woods going to be a good player. They've got some players coming back. A lot of them.
Well, both schools have quarterbacks, established quarterbacks. John Brantley filling in for Tebow at Florida, and then Zach Calora. So we thought we might see a little bit tonight, maybe under different circumstances. So both these programs at least have some experience coming back at that key position.
Flags blow it dead before the snap of the football.
Prior to the snap, timeout, Florida. Number 1.
Well, it's time now for our All-State Good Hands play of the game. ...80-yard touchdown pass, season-long touchdown pass thrown by Tebow to his roommate Riley Cooper.
Great play again. Saw this early. Showed off the speed of Riley Cooper. Great throw by Tim Tebow. Kind of started the floodgates, really. Not that the game was ever really close, but that one kind of broke the back of Cincinnati early in terms of it being a big play.
You had a chance to hang out with Riley's dad at practice the other day. You guys were talking for a long time.
Proud father. He's proud of his boy, and rightfully so.
Larry, I think, Larry Cooper.
Yeah,
yep, nice guy.
He was enjoying this whole process. He's going to hate to see him leave Florida.
You know, he was the one that brought up to us that as 1st and goal here for the Bearcats. And losing the football and able to get it back to freshman Darren Williams. But he was the one that reminded us this is the first time, and we asked Urban Meyer about it, first time that Urban Meyer has been in one place long enough to have recruited a class and been there to see that class graduate. You've got a number of redshirt freshmen that were here that were recruited by Ron Zook, but these 4-year seniors, 4th-year seniors, were entirely recruited by Urban Meyer. And now he'll say goodbye to those young people after the game tonight. In the end zone, a touchdown for Kazim Ali. Senior with his 2nd touchdown reception of the year.
Nice job of Tony Pike getting away from a little pressure, sense of what's going on around him. Breathing down on the back of it. Nice touch, catchable ball. Love the fact that these kids just finish it out. They look up there, they see what the scoreboard is. And 51-23, it's not that, it hasn't been that close. They're just finishing out the string. NFL could learn a little bit, maybe, finishing out the string, playing to the end, giving your best effort, playing everybody you have.
What are you saying?
That's what they're doing here. We'll see. We'll see who wants to do that on Sunday.
51-24. The senior class, the class we talked about, recruited by Urban Meyer and his staff, winningest in SEC history, would go to 48-7 with a win tonight. Won 2 SEC championships, 2 national championships.
And Urban talked about that. That was important to him. I think that was the hook he put on these players early. Was, guys, you're the winningest senior class in the history of the SEC. You've got to finish strong. And you could tell that because we heard that back from a number of the players. And when you start to hear that back from the players that you originally heard from the coach, you know that your message is getting through.
Florida call a timeout. I think the Gators did call a timeout. Time now for the All-State good hands play of the game. Armand bends. Real nice catch on a real nice throw.
Beautiful grab. Beautiful grab. Used every bit of that 6'4", like I said. Nice job getting that right foot down.
We're certainly rooting for Jeff Quinn as he goes home to the University of Buffalo as their head coach after this game tonight. An assistant in college football for 26 years. 21 of those seasons alongside Brian Kelly. He's still one of 1 finalist for the 2009 Broyles Award, which is given to the nation's top assistant coach.
He too, an offensive line coach.
Yep.
Ascend this position. You don't see that a lot. But just like Steve Adazio, a line coach that now has an opportunity to become a head coach.
Rainey from the 8-yard line. And out to the 30. So here we are in the final minutes. In the collegiate career of Tim Tebow, we remember him in '06 when he backed up Chris Leak, helped the Gators to a national title, his first rushing touchdown, his first passing touchdown. Then as a sophomore, first ever to win the Heisman Trophy. As a junior, a second national championship. After that response and a loss to Ole Miss with his promise speech. And here this year, SEC records fall, NCAA records fall. 25 Florida records fall, and tonight more by the wayside. All Sugar Bowl records for Tim Tebow. Mike Gillislee getting the run. Gillislee out to the 45-yard line. Sugar Bowl trophy presented by Allstate, and here comes Tim Tebow. The final time we will say the quarterback of the Florida Gators. And you know the tears are coming. They're coming in the stands. They're coming at home. They're coming for Urban Meyer. And they are coming for Tim Tebow. Passionate, firing, emotional. All those things and so much more from Tebow.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 82 on the offense, 5-yard penalty.
Hard to imagine what's going through that young man's mind right now. A lot to process at 20, 21 years old. All the things that he has done, all the accomplishments, and exciting to think about the things that are ahead. This young man's going to have a career. There's no question about that. He's going to go under a lot of scrutiny the next 3 months. But a special time for him right now.
Breaking into the open field is Gillislee inside the 15 and tackled at the 10. .52-yard run.
Well, it just takes the handoff from Brantley. All that speed getting to the outside and that burst. Once you get into that next level, again, the one thing that probably exemplifies this Florida team as much as anything is the athleticism across the board, offensively and defensively, and the speed to go with it.
Alex Daniels playing in his final game as a Bearcat. He's had an outstanding year. Well, you talk about Tebow and, joined at the hip by Urban Meyer. And we've talked about what the future holds for Florida football, but of course so much of it rests on who's the head coach. And will Urban Meyer be back? You know, people talk about what a tough year it's been for Meyer, the huge expectations, that flu that ravaged the team early in the year, Tebow's concussion, opposing fans. Remember the hijacking the cell phone number story early in the year, Brandon Spikes, and the eye gouging incident. Meyer's fined heavily for criticizing officials, the Carlos Dunlap situation. And, you know, when he told his family a week ago tomorrow that he was stepping down as a head coach.
Snap, false start on the offense, number 73. That's a 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know, one of his daughters, Nikki, said, "I get my daddy back." And then all of a sudden the next day after an inspired practice, Urban Meyer decides that he's not leaving after all. And much was made about the president of the university, suggesting initially to take a leave of absence rather than just, abruptly saying that's it. Things getting a little sloppy here at the end.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense, number 79. It's a 5-yard penalty, second down.
Well, and I have no idea what transpires, obviously, but having been at this for 30 years, my guess is, first off, when you make a decision of this magnitude, you got to be careful who you share it with, because all of a sudden things can leak out. You don't want to have your family hear it happenstance. The people you've worked with that you respect, you don't want them to hear it secondhand. So a lot of this probably was very internal just for him. And then once the decision was made or thought to be made, there are repercussions to it all for the program. What's going to happen to his assistants? Does the university want to reach out and bring somebody else in? And Urban Meyer is very much one to consider his assistant coaches. It's not just the head coach that affected. And I'm sure he's leaving for very genuine reasons. Although I'm always reminded of, Coach told me a long time ago, he says the only guys that can afford to burn out are head coaches, because they're the ones that make enough. Assistant coaches can't. We don't make enough money. But the reasons he's going are going to be very genuine and very real.
Well, they got him with a water bucket. You saw him sneaking up behind him. And they got him.
He's happy to get wet, though, I promise you. But I think, to get back to the point I was making earlier, I think some of it, too, Tom, is the fact that, and here you're going to see the drenching. Yeah, he kind of, yeah. But I tell you what, that is a cold dude when you're really not ready. I can promise you. It's great, but it is cold.
How do you know? You're the guy that avoided it all.
No. They actually did get it done.
Okay.
But I will tell you, he very much cares about this university, cares about his coaches, and I'm not sure what transpired, and we'll find out exactly how it pans out. Was an extension of, okay, wait a minute, now I need to step back and make sure that these other people are taken care of, that the university truly wants to point this in the right direction. Well, there's still something to be written here.
Well, certainly, first and foremost, we wish Urban Meyer well with his health.
Absolutely.
And our prayers and thoughts are going to be with him. And his team celebrates an All-State Sugar Bowl victory, 51-24. Got plenty of post-game coverage ahead. But first, we'll get you to Chris, Eddie, and Jimmy in the studio right after these messages.
Well, it was definitely the end of one era in Gainesville, Florida, but perhaps two. Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer sharing a special moment as they take care of Cincinnati, 51-24 at the All-State Sugar Bowl. Hi, everybody, and welcome back inside the Fox Network Center alongside Jimmy Johnson and Eddie George. I'm Chris Rose, and, Tim Tebow partied college football the right way tonight.
Well, I think people should keep this memory down, because they've watched one of the great players of all time in college football. And then tonight, statistically, his finest ball game.
Yeah, he certainly saved the best for last, and the way he was throwing the ball around the field, he might have boosted his stock in the NFL draft.
Let's not go there, right? But where do we rank him all times in terms of legacy? I mean, he's got a Heisman Trophy. He's got 2 rings to his name as well.
It's tough. I mean, there's been some great players, but certainly you can rank him in the top 10. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. He's just an outstanding job he's done throughout his entire career, Jimmy.
I think you could take Tim Tebow, and anybody could argue against anybody that's ever played the game, say, hey, Tim was the best.
Urban Meyer is certainly going to be mentioned as one of the greatest coaches of all time. We don't know what is the next chapter for him. Right now he's taking an indefinite leave. Steve Addazio will take over the day-to-day operations. Once again, you told us in the pregame show you don't think you're going to see him back on the sidelines?
Well, of course, Chris Myers, did the interview with him, and, I don't know that Urban actually knows himself what he's going to do. Because every answer was, I don't know, we'll see, I don't know. But when he's thinking this much about it, and it's going through his mind with Tebow graduating, with the team, doing what they did, I think in his mind he's going to come in next fall saying, hey, let me go to another position with the University of Florida.
Obviously, a great way to finish if it was the final chapter for Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow, a 51-24 victory over the University of Cincinnati. All right, now let's send you back down to New Orleans and rejoin the man who called tonight's game, Tom Brenneman. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rose. 51-24, our final, and it's time for the hardware to be handed out. And who better to do that than Mr. Chris Myers?
Thank you, Tom, and the All-State Sugar Bowl committee, the people of the Louisiana Superdome, and the great college football fans across the country. Thank you for watching, for attending. Gator Nation will continue to celebrate. And we are joined by some familiar faces and some people that you should hear from. First, I want to introduce Richard Smith, the All-State Sugar Bowl president.
Thank you, Chris. The Sugar Bowl wants to thank the University of Florida, the University of Cincinnati, and their great fans. Congratulations to the winner of the All-State Sugar Bowl, Florida, and head coach Urban Meyer.
And with his lovely wife, Shelley, Tom Wilson is here, Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer of Allstate, to actually hand the trophy over.
Coach, when you put this trophy over your head, it'll be a memory your team will never forget. At the same time, you've created memories for millions of fans that remind us of all the great things in America. Those memories are wins that keep on giving. Congratulations on a great year.
Sugar Bowl champions, the Florida Gators. Urban Meyer, back-to-back 13-win seasons. It's never been done before in Division I FBS college football history. Coach, another tremendous season. Let's first just talk about the performance tonight by your team, especially your seniors.
Well, a special thank you to the All-State Sugar Bowl. It's first-class bowl. It's my first experience here, and they treated us great. But most importantly, I want to thank the most successful senior class in the history of the Southeastern Conference. They gave us a great run.
And Tim Tebow, part of that, he saved the best for last tonight.
Tim Tebow will go down as one of the great players, if not the greatest player in college football.
Coach, as the confetti falls, this is your third BCS title with the Florida Gators, and we've been able at Fox to share it with you. And I think Gator fans and football fans want to know what Urban Meyer is going to do next.
I plan on being the coach of the Gators.
That's been decided. Oh, and you're in good health?
I got to work on that a little bit.
Because you're an all-or-nothing guy, right? You don't know how to ease up.
This is all about our players and our senior class. I love our players, I love our coaches, and I love Gator Nation.
And Shelley, you're okay with this. Thank you very much, Coach. You deserve it. And now to present the outstanding player. You can take that home with you, Urban, if you want. Ray Gendron, the chairman of the All-State Sugar Bowl Executive Committee.
Tim, on behalf of the Sugar Bowl, it's my great pleasure to congratulate you for a tremendous game, magnificent career, and award you our Most Outstanding Player Award. Congratulations.
All right, Tim, 533 total yards, Sugar Bowl, BCS Bowl records, but you wrap up a brilliant career. You just heard Urban Meyer. Just your thoughts at this moment to share with Gator Nation.
Well, wow. First of all, I just want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who is the reason that we're all here. I'd like to thank my teammates and coaches. I love them all. This has been the best 4 years of my life. Thank you, guys.
What did it mean, Tim, that this was your last game as a Florida Gator?
Well, we wanted to end it on a good note, and it was very special to go out with these seniors and the coaching staff and you fans. It was extremely special for all of us.
One of the greatest players, if not the greatest, in the history of college football with a lot of memories. This one has to rank up there. What comes to mind as you walk away?
Well, what comes to mind is my teammates and coaches. And last, before I get off here, I want to thank the coaches and you fans and everybody. But lastly, I want to thank Coach Meyer for what you've done. Coach, thank you for making me a Gator. I love you.
That's maybe the best handoff of the night. All right, congratulations, Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, the Florida Gators, the All-State Sugar Bowl. A tremendous performance on a very emotional night. Send it back upstairs to Tom Brenneman. Come on up here. You're all welcome to come on up.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Tonight's game produced by Jeff Cowan, directed by Bill Webb, our associate director, Eric Billigmeyer, and our broadcast associates, Andy Cavanaugh and Brady Ritchie. The technical producer is Dan Rotante, and our technical director, Jonathan Evans. The senior producer at Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers are Ed Gorn and David Hill. And we thank Scott Snyder and Tom Barbary up here in the booth for all their hard work. So the All-State Sugar Bowl wraps up from New Orleans, and the college football world says goodbye to Tim Tebow on a record-breaking night for him in the Gators' 51-24 win. For Brian Billick, Chris Myers, and our entire Fox crew, Happy New Year, everybody. Guys are still standing by in the studios in Los Angeles with more. You're watching the BCS Bowl Bash on Fox.
Well, the Bowl Bash continues on Saturday with the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic as Okie State takes on Ole Miss. Both teams looking to end their season with a win. Our coverage of the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic begins at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific in high def on Fox. And then Monday, it's the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Boise State, unbeaten, taking on TCU. Both teams looking to complete an undefeated season. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Once again in high def, right here on Fox. And we are looking forward to